Welcome back to the park, everyone. Another day, another game of Mavericks baseball, and we've made it to the end of a four-game home stretch for the Mavericks. They faced the Moose Jaw Miller Express in the first three. Now they see the Swift Current 57s for the first time at home this season, and the 57s were the team that the Mavericks built confidence off of last time they played them. It was their biggest win of the season, 24-2. It was one of those mercy games that has been inputted into the WCBL this year, and they got to go home an inning earlier for the Swift Current 57s. It hasn't been the best start. 2-5 to begin the year. It's a better start than they had in 2025. They were last place throughout that season, and this year they have a couple of interesting wins, including one against the Saskatchewan Berries, where their ace, Zach De Silva, pitched a complete game, and that was a real shocker. I think the biggest shock of the season in the WCBL was seeing them knock off the Berries, who are 7-2 and first place in the East Division. So anything can happen, and that's what Ryan Reed told me before today's game, that just because the 57s don't have the best record, you never know, because that's baseball. And this is a presentation of Mavs versus Swift Current 57s here on Flow Sports. My name is Truman Bartman. Pleasure to be with you as always as we get set for one that was supposed to be played a week ago. It was a rainout game last Monday. Today was actually supposed to be the Mavs' one bye day. Instead, they will play 11 straight games, which is quite the haul. And I couldn't imagine having to travel back and forth between cities. Luckily, they've had this time at home to get readjusted and play in a comfortable spot, but still lots of games ahead. And for Swift Current, they'll see Moose Jaw coming up, so a couple of big tests over their next few games. It'll be interesting to see how things sort themselves out here, and with a little bit of breeze in the air, that can always cause confusion, as we saw a few times yesterday, especially with it swirling towards center field. So we will send you to a quick ad break and a quick word from Flow Sports, and we'll be back with our starting lineups for today's game. Now let's take a look at today's starting lineups presented by Fortis Alberta, and we will start with the Mavericks. The home team, Josh Stark, who's been batting in the 9-hole for all of the season, now moves up to the 1 spot. Lots of changes in the Mavericks lineup today from the group we were seeing over the first couple of matches with the Moose Jaw Miller Express. Blake Dale in his usual 2 spot, but he's playing in the 6th spot in the field tonight at shortstop. Evan Morrison moved over to third base, his first time playing there this year. He's been in right field and at first for the most part. Carter Roth, his natural position from last year at second base, he moves over from normally playing third. Eric Calder will be the DH. Frankie Giacalone over at first. Carson Chan back into left field after a day off yesterday. Nate King is in behind the plate, and Adam Volcano in dead center field. And for the Swift Current 57s, a completely different lineup than we were used to seeing last year, but Lucas Geisler was a part of the 2025 team, and he will lead it off here in center field. Hudson Unger, another member of that group in left field. Jake Hiramoto, a new face on the block at third base. Keegan Noller over at first. Jake Rogansack over at second. Malachi Uramello DHing. Jude Pacheco at catcher. Cohen Jorgensen over in right field, and Anthony Hector down from Florida playing shortstop today. So those are your starting lineups presented by Fortis Alberta. And the starter for your Mavericks today, before we go any further, will be Brant Spencer, a former Swift Current 57, playing against his former team, and he only got into limited action there last year as an affiliate player. He returns as an affiliate for the Mavs as well, and he's put together a really good start to the season. 1-1 with a 1.59 ERA and 8 strikeouts for the youngster, proving that age isn't everything in this league. And we talked about this yesterday with Nathan Pisho on the Moose Jaw Miller Express. Affiliate players can make an impact, and they can become all-stars. He did that a season ago. Spencer, looking to keep the trend alive of affiliates going to the big game this season. So that's all you need to know lineup-wise between these two teams. So let's check out what they look like head-to-head for the Mavericks. A 5-4 record. They're below 500 again. They have teetered and tottered around that mark this year, and the 57s 2-5, as mentioned off the top, a win against the Berries, one of those two. In their head-to-head matchup, the Mavericks with that big-time win, 20-plus runs put up. They're 1-0 in that category, and the run differential is quite drastic here. The Mavericks, 83 runs scored to the 57s, 31. That's anything that indicates what these two teams have been like this year. Then we're going to see an interesting game here today, one that will kind of mirror the earlier matchup between these two. But of course, we can't play ball without singing O Canada, so down to field level we go for our Canadian national anthem. And we'll have a ceremonial first pitch, as always, here at Athletic Park. A great part of this medicine hat tradition that keeps on continuing to go. And we have a young fan, it looks like, out there, a little girl tossing towards Nate King to start the game. And then we will see Brant Spencer toss just after. Spencer spending some time at Badlands Academy. Of course, that's Oyen, Alberta, and there's lots of guys throughout this league who have come out of Badlands, and they've made an impact. It was Gary Dornan, who was an affiliate player a year ago, who was in Spencer's position. He got the start here, and he performed really well. And even on the other side of things, as you look at relievers within the league that have done well from Badlands, Jax Graham, another player on the Mavericks this year, came in relief in the Mavericks win on Saturday night. So I don't know what's in the water up in Badlands, but it's clearly something that has helped pitchers perform, and Spencer's hoping that will help him out here today. Just one start on the season for Brant Spencer. He has come in at home before. It was in the trickiest of spots. That was when the Regina Red Sox made their comeback, and he actually got tagged with the loss in that game, but still managed to keep his ERA down. And so Spencer looking to change the narrative here in front of the home crowd. It's been an interesting crowd throughout the year with not many games being played at Athletic Park and some weather concerns at times, but yesterday was a record breaker for the Mavericks. Over 2,400 people in attendance. Mentioned throughout the broadcast that it was Little League Day, and that paid off. There were little fans and young ball players running everywhere, even a few still in the crowd today, but that got the group juiced up. And on Little League Day yesterday, it was one of Medicine Hat's fellow former Little Leaguers in Josh Stark who hit 2 home runs out of this place. He was named player of the game today. The Mavs did fall to Moose Jaw, and they're looking to get a big one back here against the 57s. So it'll be Spencer versus Lucas Geisler to start the game. As Geisler mentioned, second season here with the 57s as the lefty takes shape in the batter's box. Spencer, first pitch, and he's going to land it in there for a strike. Talked to Ryan Reed about Spencer before the game, and he said, hey, I just arrived here. I'm still getting used to knowing my players, so he hasn't watched Brant pitch a whole bunch other than on film when he was recruiting him to play for the Mavs and then in his one start on the road, but he's still getting familiar with his game as well. Count's going to be 2-1 here to Geisler, who's held off on all 3 offerings to start. Spencer looks like a guy that works at a rapid pace here as he kicks and deals, and Geisler fouls it off towards the Mavericks dugout. Got to spend the day actually down in the Mavericks dugout. Tanner Hale, Takeo Cervantes will be on the next episode of Dynamic Duos, a fun YouTube series that the Mavs do, and I've been fortunate enough to have many players on, and those two both from Reno, Nevada. Talked a little bit about their experience up here and what to know if you're ever in the state of Nevada. Spencer from Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan, so he's more used to where the 57s come from. Geisler, a floppy one, and it's going to drop for a base hit. So 1 for 1 today is Geisler, and that's a good way to start off the day for the 57s, who will have one on, and they will bring to the plate Hudson Unger, who's a veteran on this team, and another left-handed bat. Unger so far this year has had an up-and-down season. And he hasn't even actually had an at-bat, or he has had many at-bats. He's one of the more consistent guys as he gets plunked here. 6 on the year. He's batting .238, and that will not affect the batting average. It won't affect anything other than his condition, as you never want to see a hit-by-pitch early in a game. We saw that in yesterday's as Thomas Soto got hit, Ben Wallazek. By the end of the day, the Moose Jaw Miller Express were a pretty sore team. Spencer now will face one of the hottest hitters in the WCBL, Jake Hiramoto. Went to school at the University of San Francisco, a Hawaii product. And Hiramoto tied for the league lead in home runs with Brady Bye at 4. He's also high up in RBIs. He's been the 57's best hitter. Spencer kicks, deals. Hiramoto will foul this one off into right foul territory. For Hiramoto, a power bat, and he's always been one. Prides himself on being able to hit the long ball. He's had a really good start to his WCBL career after just 6 plate appearances in university. 0-2 the count. Spencer the pitch. Hiramoto is going to drive it over into right field. Carson Chan will corral it, throw it in, and runner's going to pause at third. That's Geisler. So loaded bases in the first inning here. No outs for the Mavericks, and Brant Spencer is in a jam against his former team. Now the cleanup hitter will come to the plate. We'll see Keegan Noller for the first time in this game playing first base. He'll flip-flop with Malachi Uramello, who's DHing tonight. Both guys, primary first baseman. Noller sets up and takes a pitch high from Spencer, who hasn't been able to fill up the zone so far, and when he has, the ball's been going over his head. Glove to the side here for Spencer. And he is going to pull that one. A great diving stop by Nate King behind the plate. King not in yesterday's game. It was Jaziel Grudelars who was behind the plate. Very athletic is Grudelars. He made many of those plays against the Miller Express, and King won early on here. Spencer deals. This one shot up into center, and it's got a bit of carry. Volcano going all the way back, and it's gone. What a start for the 57s as they put up 4 in the first. A grand slam for Keegan Noller. And the Mavericks might already have to turn to their bullpen as Spencer, no outs yet, and he gives up the big one. Keegan Noller came into this game batting .231. He'd struck out 11 times. He had 1 home run on the year, now make it 2, and pile up the RBIs for the youngster. Andrew Bench. A chat with Brant Spencer. This has been the Mavericks' problem. Not so much starting pitching, but pitching in general. They haven't been able to get through innings cleanly. They've provided lots of walks and hit by pitches, and those are things that they are not looking for. A team that prides themselves on being able to find good pitching. And to begin this game, they'll be playing from behind here against the 57s. However, we've seen long leads in this very park vanish in an instant. Spencer, quick step, and Jake Rogensek will take that pitch for ball 1. Rogensek, primarily a third baseman. He's in at second base tonight. Spencer, now ahead here, 0-2, and that's a positive sign after giving up a grand slam just a pitch prior. Rogensek, a Wainwright, Alberta kid, played hockey all the way into the Bantam years, played for the Wainwright Racks in Bantam. 1-2 count here to Rogensek. Brant Spencer, Rogensek, a swing and a miss, and the first strikeout of the game for Spencer. It's 1 down here for the 57s in the top of the first, but they're not too worried about it with the lead that they've put together. So Malachi Yaramillo heads up to the plate. Lots of lefty bats in the lineup for Swift Current. There's a first pitch strike from Brant Spencer, and that will have his manager smiling. As I mentioned before, Ryan Reed prioritizing first pitch strikes, getting ahead in counts, and challenging batters as this one goes airborne. All the way over to right is Stark, right at the warning track, and another home run goes over the fence. This time it is Yaramello who goes long into right field, and it's a 5-0 57s lead. I don't want to call this one shocking, but after what the Mavericks did to the 57s at Mitchell Field, putting up 20-plus runs, it's surprising to see them give up 5 right away here, and that wind must be carrying out because that is 2 that have been up in the air. The first one looked pretty clean. The second one definitely used a bit of push from the wind, and Stark thought he had it initially. It just carried a tad longer. Spencer behind here. 1-0 as he's already into the deeper part of the 57's lineup. It's Jude Pacheco, the catcher, that he'll see. Pacheco, the 7-hole hitter. 1-1 count, Spencer. And a base hit the other way now is going oppo is Pacheco. There's a pitcher already stretching down below for the Medicine Hat Mavericks. There's something about Medicine Hat playing at home. They just have 1 win this year. They're 1-3 coming into this game. And already it's looking shaky. They could drop to 1-4 if this continues. Spencer lobs that one high. He's behind here. 1-0. Medicine Hat looking for a double play here. Spencer hoping to get something on the ground. There's been a lot airborne for the 57s. Pacheco on first, and Cohen Jorgensen, the right fielder, in at the plate. Jorgensen back to the netting. There's a chance that the 57s could get through their entire lineup here in the first inning. Anthony Hector, the last batter, and shortstop is waiting behind Cohen Jorgensen. Jorgensen, another one that's fouled back, and it's over the heads of lots of fans in attendance. More so on the left side and in the middle tonight. The right side's looking a little bare, and that's because of the sunshine that's coming down. It's a hot day here in the Hat. Spencer, ground ball into his glove, goes to second, tapped over to first, and that's the double play that the Mavericks needed. But what a first for the 57s. They take the first number in their second name, and they throw it up on the scoreboard. 5 hits, 5 runs, and 57 problems for the Medicine Hat Mavericks. We'll head to the bottom of the first after a couple words from IKS Live.
Changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house. The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house. The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment.
And let's welcome in the 57 starter tonight. It is going to be Koufax Kramer. Wearing number 3 this year. He's only got into a couple of games, a 0-0 record, a 1.17 ERA, 8 strikeouts for Kramer, who has the first name of a pitching legend in the MLB, Sandy Koufax, of course, the Hall of Famer and Dodger legend. That was his last name. So I can only assume that the inspiration came from that for the name of Koufax here on the mound today, and I'm sure that will get repeated around many WCBL broadcasts throughout the year, but you have to do it. You have to pay homage to those who came before you, and having the first name of a great does just that. And it was a great start for the 57s. Kramer can get onto the mound and just feel much more comfortable about where he's at, knowing that he's playing with a 5-run lead. And Josh Stark, the first time he has led off for the Medicine Hat Mavericks here, used to seeing him at the end of the lineup, and he will be the first contestant to face Kramer tonight. Kramer with a first pitch for a ball. Stark has hit the ball really well. He's top 5 in a couple of categories in the WCBL, including home runs. And his OPS is really good this year as well. His batting average is also inside the top 10. 1-1 count, and looks like Kramer works quickly as well, just like what we saw from Spencer prior. And after yesterday's game was nearly 4 hours long, it looks with the way that these pitchers are moving that it won't be close to that in this game. 3-1 count here as Kramer struggles to find the zone. Stark over the head of the shortstop and into center field, just barely over top of Hector, and that should be a base hit for Stark, who just keeps on rolling. I think he has a hit in every single game now, and his streak remains on go. So just like the 57s did, they got the first guy on base, and now the Mavericks can work into their lineup here. Blake Dale, who's having himself a good year, among those on the Mavericks with the most hits. He'll step up to the plate on the left-hand side. Kramer over to first base. Stark will scamper back. He's in with more than enough time. Clear skies above. Seems like clear skies ahead here for the 57's offense as well, who have sent 2 airborne in this game. Kramer behind here, 1-0. he'll deal, and that one just high, and see holding out his hand, and I'm not sure if it's a miscue with the catcher or if he's talking towards the umpire, but something is not right as Cramner looking down towards home plate. Another throwback over towards Stark. Stark's an all-round athlete, but he isn't a threat to steal like some of the other guys on the Mavericks, that including the likes of Thomas Schnabel, who leads the team in stolen bags. A year ago, it was Yusei Uzawa and Jeremy Freeman who put on a clinic to begin the year. Both of them were in the top 3 in stolen bases. That changed as the season went on. Here's Dale. Pops it up. Going backwards is Hector. He's going to leave it for his outfielders. We'll see who calls for it first. And it is going to be the man in center field in Lucas Geisler. That's out number 1. And it's made by Geisler. So Stark still on. Up to the plate is Evan Morrison with 1 out. I've been told by players lots throughout the years that when you're playing from behind, especially by a big margin early in a game, it almost settles you in, calms you down, and then you feel like you have nothing to lose. I think back to the Regina game last year that the Mavericks came back in at home, and that was the notion throughout the dugout during the game. If we come back, it's lots of fun. If we don't, it was already written, so can't complain about it. Morrison, a big swing and a miss here for first pitch strike. And in that game, it was an Adam Volcano home run that started it all off. Volcano in the lineup again today. He'll be the last batter we'll see in the Mavericks order. Cranmer ahead here. It's 0-2. Morrison has been in that 3 spot for most of the year. Right behind him is Carter Roth. Those are really the only 2 players who haven't changed their positions within the Mavericks batting lineup. Cranmer back over to first again. Stark's got him thinking, and you just never know. You think about John Lester back in the day in the MLB. Everybody would lead off further because they knew that he didn't have a good arm or good instincts to turn back the other way, and he often airmailed his first baseman. Doesn't appear that Cramner has had anything get away from him, at least throwing to first. High one here to Morrison as he works the count to 2-2. Cranmer originally was moving really quick, and now he's starting to get into his lean. High one to Morrison again. He won't chase. And that's that new plate discipline that Morrison has adapted, and he's showing that off. He's near the top of the league in walks this season. Morrison, a swing and a miss there on a full count, and it's 2 out now, as after the Mavs had the first guy reach, the next 2 go away quick. Here comes Carter Roth. 4 hits yesterday for Roth. He has started to get into his element after what was a bit of a slow start to the season. He was tearing it up at Doane University, setting the hits record. Now Roth back here in Medicine Hat, and he loves the community. And especially he loves his teammates that have the last name Volcano. In fact, during his collegiate career, he has played with 4 different Volcanos. Aaron, Adam, Johnny, and brother Liam, who never played here in Medicine Hat. I believe Liam played for the Lethbridge Bulls, so he was still in the WCBL. But Carter said it would be weird not to have them, and he smiled when talking about each of the brothers. He's appreciated them as teammates and friends alike. This one popped up over to left field, should be playable for Unger, and moving all the way over to get it instead is Lucas Geisler, who picks up 2 in this inning. The Mavs leave 1 on here at home. They trail 5-0 after 1.
Connects people from across our province. Something that connects the coffee shop to the spray park, or the brewery to the rodeo, the campground to the sports field. It's pretty amazing when you think about how it's all connected, because it truly is, and it's all we think about, so you don't have to.
5 in the first. Let's see what the 57's offense has to offer here in the second. A perfect start for a group who is often playing behind, and they're a really young group. That's one thing that is highlighted on their team. There is a major lack of seniors, and throughout the league we see some teams like Okotoks who piles on the seniors, and they filter in a couple of freshmen who they'll bring back, but it's usually the same cast of characters. The Mavericks and the Moose Jaw Miller Express teams that are similar, but for the 57's, a rotating cast of newbies, and it has worked out well for them at points. Last year it was Wilmer Henriquez who came in. He wasn't a freshman or anything, but it was his first time in the WCBL, and he led the league in home runs for a majority of the season, made an all-star appearance, and now they have Jake Hiramoto taking over the reins from Henriquez. There's something about first-year infielders that works well in Swift Current. This one is going to be fouled off by Anthony Hector, who's at the plate. Hector, no stranger to summer collegiate baseball. He's never played in the WCBL. He played in Fort Lauderdale in 2024, and then he played for Newark in the Perfect Game League, and that's over in New York. This ball hit over to left field, long way to range out, but the play is made with the wheels there by Carson Chan. It's a better way to start this inning if you're Brant Spencer and the Mavericks. It took a while to get an out in the last inning, all the way until the fifth batter. And that can start to set a trend for innings to follow. And at least for Spencer, if he can get into a decent rhythm and start to bring down batters, then that's a positive sign going ahead. And he doesn't have to worry about the first, and he can allow his bats to move back. But it's his second hit batter of the night as Lucas Geisler takes first base. Geisler already a problem for the Mavericks in this game. Some good work defensively, some good work with the bat, and he will take first base once more. Hudson Unger hit by a pitch in his first time up to the plate. That one pretty close as well as he slides out of the way. Spencer steps into the dirt, puts forth, and this one fouled off down the left field line, and it hops right over towards the barbecue. I can see a kid running over to get it near the trees now, near the patio down the left foul line. 0-2 count here to Unger. Spencer has him where he wants him, and he puts that one up top. Not a big lead over at first for Geisler. Spencer ranging again, and he misses to that side. We saw him getting extra pull in his first inning, and now he's just losing it a little bit to the right-hand side, not getting through the ball. Spencer, the 2-2, right through the gap in right field, and that's a base hit for the 57's. Runner will stop up at second. Good play made there by Blake Dale to cut it off, and he had to range backwards to get it. And there's 2 on again here for Swift Current. A little bit of movement again over near the Mavericks bullpen. It's J.J. Harnett who's stretching out. Jake Hiramoto reached base in his last time up, 1 for 1 on the day. 2 on again for Hiramoto. Spencer, a quick look over to second. That one close to Hiramoto's body. He doesn't offer. It's ball 1. Hiramoto, a aggressive batter and an aggressive defender as well. He said he likes to charge onto the ball when he's playing in the infield and wants to make sure that there's less bounces. He's attacking every time he sees it come towards him, and it allows him to get into a good spot and less room for error. He also feels like by being aggressive that his confidence comes with it. 1-1 count here with 2 on. Spencer. This one's grounded over towards third. Tap on the bag. Could be 2. Giacalone had to dive for it. 1 runner out. 1 could come in. There's lots of room. This could be 3 bases for Hiramoto. It's now a 6-0 lead for the 57's as Stark gets to it near the bullpen of the 57's. And a 6-0 ball game. Wow. Unpredictable. Ryan Reed said it before the game even started. They beat They beat Saskatoon. You just never know. And the first 2 innings have proved just that. Keegan Noller, grand slam in his last time up. I'm not sure he can top that, but he can at least push another runner in here. Freezing there and taking a strike is Noller. Score clock says 7-0 here in the ballpark. I'm not sure that that's exactly right. I know one came in to score for sure. See if the change is made, but 6 hits regardless already for the 57s. 0-2 here. Spencer the pitch. And it's real close, but it's going to be outside. A little bit of leeway given to Keegan Noller here. Noller grew up not far from Windsor, Ontario. Just an 18-minute drive as he swings and misses, and that's out number 3. The Mavericks give up another in this inning, and they trail big early on. Brant Spencer hasn't been the start that he was looking for at home, and very different from his last time out on the road. Mavs bats will need to heat up. It's been a disastrous day thus far.
Century, we've been more than just lawyers. We're your neighbors, your friends, and your strongest advocates. With locations across the prairies, we're everywhere you are. Stringham, your local lawyers.
Baseball fans, make sure to stay up to date with your favorite teams across the league by subscribing to the WCBL YouTube channel right now. We have tons of free coverage for you over there, including daily highlights, full archived game broadcasts, daily game day previews, plus the WCBL report with myself and Joe McFarland every Wednesday. It's all in one spot, the WCBL YouTube channel. Subscribe today.
Yo, Dustin, you get going?
Yes.
Can I join you guys? All right, let's go.
Whether it's on the ice or on our app, always play for the fun of the game. Gamble responsibly with Play Alberta.
Eric Calder played first base yesterday, DHing today, and was really good at first. His athleticism is not something that you may have been able to predict, but the toe tapping that he did at first base yesterday with a couple of throws that pulled him off the bag was fantastic, and he's been really good with the bat as well. I noticed the inside pitches that he looks comfortable being able to try and target and hit that, and I asked him about it today, and he says, I'm actually less comfortable with that. It's anything outside that I'm really trying to get to, and I feel like I can do my best with. And if it's straight down the middle, then you're going to make no mistake. And he's never been a power hitter, he says, just loves to make contact, and in his words, I just love to hit. He's hit with a strike here after a 3-1 or now a 3-1 count, 3-0 count prior. Cranmer back into his fast-paced flow here. That one fouled off. It's now a full count to Calder. Calder lit up at the chance to talk baseball. He's a quiet guy. His play stands out, but once he gets going, he's willing to have a conversation that can get deep, especially about baseball. Here's one that's hit down near first base, and maybe a tricky play. Ranging over and making the play from second base is Rogensack, and that'll be out one off the ground ball by Calder. Frankie Giacalone, the next batter that Cranmer will see in this game. He's been cruising through, and it shows why his ERA is in the ones. Giacalone taps home plate. He's still getting adjusted to life here in Medicine Hat. Came up all the way from Oklahoma. I can't imagine the drive. There's only so many fields you can see, especially when you get into the Montana area and you're driving through Saskatchewan or driving through Alberta. Lots of fields. Can't imagine the drive was pretty for Swift Current, but some people love seeing that. People who grew up on the farm, and lots of these players have done exactly that. Giacalone, as we mentioned on yesterday's broadcast and talked about a bit, from San Diego, so not a lot of farmland around there. Behind in the count here is Cranmer. Giacalone will adjust the helmet. And then a kick and a deal and a swing from Giacalone. It's not going to be one swing for the Mavericks. That's what big leads can do to you. You have to chip away and put up 1 or 2 runs an inning. Of course, an explosive inning always helps, but those only come around every so often. Cranmer quickly over to short. Long play and a high throw. So Giacalone's to first. He slipped and he's going to go for second. He might even have room to get to 3. Quickly to it is the first baseman. And taking it all the way back here is Noller. It's 2 bags for Frankie Giacalone. It didn't look favorable after his second swing for a strike in this count. And even the ground ball wasn't promising, but a high throw from Anthony Hector saved him. And now a runner in scoring position for the Mavericks for the first time in this game. Carson Chan, day off yesterday, back in today. Lefty will go to work against Cranmer. 1 out here for the Mavs. And Cranmer all crossed up, so he'll reset on the mound. Mentioned the quiet hush over the crowd once the Mavericks lost the lead yesterday. It felt like this game almost started with one, just with how the 57s attacked out of the gate, and there's one right at the dirt. It's the first time that Cranmer's had any pressure behind him in this game. A guy over at first, that's something you can deal with, but once there's action at second and third, then teams start to pick up speed, and then the gears start to twirl in your head. Cranmer quickly leans back, now jolts towards the plate, and a off-speed pitch for a strike. It almost looked like a Eufus pitch. As frozen there was Carson Chan. It's 1-1. Chan will sit back. Hector roaming around behind Cranmer, and a foul ball. Now behind in the count is Chan. Cranmer waiting on Chan to get into the batter's box. He's ready to go. And he jumps to it here. Fouling this one up in the air. Should be playable over at third base. And over to make the play is Hiramoto. So out number 2 for the 57s. You never know what that ball's going to do when it hangs high enough in the air for long enough, and Hiramoto experiencing a bit of that there. Some protection there from his catcher and Pacheco, but good communication between the two to avoid a collision with each other, and that's huge. Communication, communication, communication. It's preached by every coach, and it's something that can get lost in the game when you're focusing on all the major skills. It's one of those minor skills that you learn off the start that definitely can get lost, and we've seen that in the majors plenty of time. First pitch is low here from Cranmer, and Nate King, who statistically is leading the Mavericks in batting average this year. He's around the 470 mark. He'll step back in. King up the middle, and he's been doing a lot of that this year. Chance to score for Giacalone. The throw's pretty good. Sliding in is Frankie, and he is safe. An RBI single for Nate King. The first run of the game on the board for the Mavericks as they chip away one time around. Yeah, 467 the batting average for King, and it's only going to get better with that piece of hitting. Adam Volcano, the last hitter that Cranmer will get to see in this game before it's just routine after that. And you can learn a lot one time through. There's many pitchers that are situational pitchers. You'll bring them in, they pitch for one inning, and then they're done because you can get to them just after. And Volcano trying to get to this one, swirling around in the air, and the ball is dropped. Volcano going to turn for two. King's going to come around and he'll score, and it's a triple for Adam Volcano. We'll see if they call this an error. It very well could be, as the wind, I mentioned the swirling in center, looks like the same is happening in right field. Crossed up and crossed over was Cohen Jorgensen. So the Mavericks making it interesting. 2 runs in this inning, and so funny. Talked about that Regina game. Adam Volcano started that rally, and he's a part of this one here. And out to the mound is going to be Devin Sawyer. He'll have a conversation with Cramner. Got a chance to talk to Sawyer after the game. He used to work for Perfect Game USA. He was telling me, I was wearing a Mavericks jacket, and he said, I had a jacket just like that. It's great quality. The only thing that's different is the logo. And I said, I'm sure you want me to remove this logo, as it's a Mavericks one, of course, as an employee for the team. And he said, no, not like that, but yeah, I'd prefer if you did. And he had lots of interesting insight. A well-traveled guy. He's done a lot of different things. A color commentator. He's sat behind home plate and gathered statistics for players and looked at velocity and barrels, and just loved to talk about his experience in the game and youth and knowledge for a guy that's only 26. Josh Stark, a hit in his first plate appearance. Now he'll see Cranmer one more time. Stark going to go the other way, and this one has a chance to get down, and it will. Another RBI for Josh Stark, and the party continues. 3 runs in this inning for the Mavericks, and Adam Volcano in to score. No game is ever over, really. Is it really ever over? Even the game can funnel into a game after. If you get hit by a pitch, then you're trying to strike revenge, or if you get beat bad, then you really want to beat a team again. Game's longer than just one, and the Mavericks proving it's definitely longer than just 2 innings, is Cranmer now struggling with his control right up by the ear of Blake Dale. 6-4 are the hits in favor of the 57s, and Blake Dale gonna add another hit to that total as he's got himself a single with 2 outs here, and the Mavs rallying again with 2 outs. We saw Moose Jaw do this throughout the weekend. The Mavericks had a couple of their own, and that separates the good teams from the great teams, when you can rally late in innings and you don't give in. And towards the end of the year, for teams that are bottom dwellers, that's really hard. You feel like you're just playing to play at times. And teams that can stick with it and rally through those 2-out situations, they're bound to find something good at times. Morrison going to foul this off. He's behind 0-1 here, struck out his first time up. Regardless of whether Stark or Dale come in to score here, it's been a successful inning for the Mavericks, an inning that they needed early on. Cranmer, real close on the inside, will just miss. Morrison, bat to shoulder, and a Craig Kimbrell type of lunge here from Cranmer on the mound. Cranmer down the stripe. That one fouled off by Morrison, and he's behind here 1-2. Ballboy didn't have to do the job there, as it was a 57's player. I believe it was Yaramillo who went and picked that ball up. Could be a crucial moment here for Cranmer. Some activities happening behind him. Back towards the plate. Morrison flares. Play made at first by Noller. And the inning is over, but the Mavs, they get 3 back. They cut the lead in half, and they do so early in this game, which is really important. We'll see who they bring back out on the mound next. Spencer, control of the first 2. Cranmer, the same. They have both had innings that they would like to forget. We'll be back after a word from Centennial Storage.
For more than 40 years, we've been there, helping Canadians find the extra space they need to grow and to create new memories. Sentinel Storage. Buy Canadian, store Canadian. For more than 40 years, we've been there, helping Canadians find the extra space they need to grow and to create new memories. Sentinel Storage. Buy Canadian, store Canadian. For more than 40 years, we've been there, helping Canadians find the extra space they need to grow and to create new memories. Sentinel Storage. Buy Canadian, store Canadian. For more than 40 years, we've been there, helping Canadians find the extra space they need to grow and to create new memories. Sentinel Storage. Buy Canadian, store Canadian.
And before we begin the third inning, let's take a look at today's head-to-head matchup. And it's Lucas Geisler and Blake Dale, two guys that have been with these teams, that were with these teams last year and are having decent years. Blake Dale would talk about the hits in his first at-bat of the night, 15 on the year, 10 RBIs, and a .319 batting average, a .333 batting average for Geisler, which has jumped up over the course of the few innings that we've played in this game. 4 RBIs and 8 hits total for number 23, a guy who has spent time in Edmonton playing for the Riverhawks, and there's lots of guys that you can point to on this Swift Current roster that have played for the Riverhawks organization. Of course, a beautiful stadium up there. I'm not sure if it's still called Remax Stadium, but it was at one point. Spencer is going to get a ground ball right off the go, and it's going to squeak through Carter Roth. So not the way that the Mavericks hoped to start this inning. It was for Spencer, who got weak contact and a ground ball, and that's a tough play ranging over towards first base, and it gets caught up in between the feet of Roth, who has been an excellent defender this year, known for making big plays over at third base. Spencer now up top. This one's going to be driven out near right field, but it'll go foul. And now looking over there, I think that was Adam Volcano who started in center field that is over at second. So a new position here for Volcano, and that might be why he got tripped up there. Looks like Roth is over at third. Morrison started the game there. I'm not sure if he's out or just in a new spot. Pitch misses here for Spencer. It'll be 1-1. Looks like Chan's still out in left field. We'll get an update if it is Morrison in center. A low throw here from Spencer, a risky one, and the tag not quick enough from Giacalone. Malachi Yaramillo, the DH for today. 1-1 count here versus Spencer. And runner going to go. King quickly out of his hand. Over, and they got him. What a tag made by Adam Volcano, and that will make up for the error just a play prior. And a point over to Nate King, and that is what Adam Volcano brings, that uppity spirit. And Nate King, very similar behind the plate. He's energetic. He likes to get his guys going, and those two connecting on a great throw down to second, and that'll clear the base path. Spencer buries that in the dirt. Count is 3-1. Spencer will have to wait on Yaramillo, who decided to step out and take a second. And that gets past King, but he doesn't have to worry about it. He'll trot to it. And over to first via the walk is Yaramillo. Jude Pacheco, catcher in this game. We're used to seeing Casey Prychek behind the plate for so many years for the Swift Current 57s. And even Luis Ayala, who was named an All-Star last year. The Ayala brothers not coming back this year. They were power threats. Luis Ayala had arguably the best arm in the WCBL. And both of them electing to move on this year from playing with the 57s. Out of all 5 of the 57s All-Stars from last year, none returning. So they have a clean slate in terms of the big names. Spencer misses wide here, and Nate King will go and have a discussion with him. Pacheco 1 for 1 on the day. That's one thing you got to feel for the 57s. We'll talk about them and the Berries and why the rivalry might be more bitter than people expect, but one of the reasons is their ace, Adam Cordy, who was here last year from Munster Sask. In his last game as a 57, pitched an absolute gem, facing off, I believe, against Luis Diaz here at Athletic Park. He decided to join the Berries this year, and that's always got a sting, but it's the third player that has moved on from the 57s to the Berries that has been named an all-star in the league. Before that, it was Clevert Martina and Ethan Murdoch, who's still with them this year. And when you start to lose pieces like that, you have to feel bad, and it's not like a pity feeling for the 57s, but there's got to be a way to even the playing field. Historically, the 57s have been a team that, they've run the league at points. They won back in 2017. They were great during the Joe Carnahan days, and when Carnahan went over to the Berries, so did a lot of players who were here in the orange. Spencer, another walk, so off to first base goes Jude Pacheco. It'll bring up Cohen Jorgensen. There's 2 on with just 1 out. Spencer, eager to get going here. And Harnett is still warming up behind Brant Spencer. So 2 youngsters here. Looks like that's going to be the plan for the Mavericks today. Harnett, not an affiliate player, as we mentioned earlier. Spencer is. He's one of 4 that are on the Mavericks roster, which includes 16-year-old Ethan Chenard. I don't know the stats. I haven't tracked the ages of every Maverick ever, but he's got to be one of the youngest all time, and he's still waiting to get into a game. That one gets through Nate King and then went behind the umpire, so some free bags behind Spencer, and there's 2 in scoring position now for the 57s. Umpires will get to their spots, and Spencer back up onto the bump. After a 3-run last, this is an inning you want to keep clean if you're the Mavericks, but Spencer having trouble with it here, and he gets a strike this time around. Spencer so far, 59 pitches, only 32 for strikes, 2 in 1 innings pitched, 2 walks, no strikeouts. A high throw here, and could be a 3rd walk looming for Spencer. Also 2 hit batters on the day, that not factored into the walk total. 3-1. Here comes the pitch from Spencer, and it's popped up. He'll work a full count. Jorgensen will head back for 1 more round against Spencer. Sound effect going off in Athletic Park as if a bomb dropped here. Instead, it was just to make fun of that a foul ball may have landed in the stands. Here's Spencer, the pitch. It's going to be grounded up the middle. One should score. Having trouble with it is Volcano, and it is now a 7-3 57's lead off the ground ball, and not sure if this is going to be ruled an error. It looks like it is. The Mavericks already have 3 errors today. They had 4 in yesterday's game, and they don't get an out on the play. There'll be runners on the corners, and it looks like the day for Brant Spencer could be done. J.J. Harnett will make his way in. Spencer out. Not living up to what he expected for himself, especially with what he's done this season, and an unfortunate occurrence for the youngster. So as Harnett warms up, we'll quickly send it here to Flow Sports and get a quick So let's take you through the career so far for J.J. Harnett with the Medicine Hat Mavericks. And he's a guy who's been able to fill up the zone and get ahead in counts a lot. But that's just me telling you things that have happened. Let's look at the numbers and see what they tell us about the young Harnett, who played for the PBA Lethbridge team this year and didn't get into a lot of games. For Harnett this year, 3 innings pitched, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk, no earned runs allowed. It's pretty good for a guy who hasn't pitched a lot in this league and is facing, for the most part, older players. Here's a bunt attempt right into the glove of Harnett, and that's sweet picking for out number 1. Or out 2, but out 1 for Harnett's sake. Lucas Geisler, 3rd plate appearance in 3 innings. 5 in the first, 1 in the second, 1 in this inning. Chance to get more for 23. Harnett, quick kick. Pitch is going to be high. For JJ, he's not just a baseball player. He says he enjoys and loves talking about cars. He knows a lot about cars and vehicles, and if he was to be an expert on anything outside of playing ball, it is definitely what he knows about automotives. It's a strike is he's going to freeze Geisler here. Harnett, the pretty quick spirit as well. This rip down the line, a crazy bounce off the apron, and it's over into right field. Maybe a chance to score 2, as the long throw from Stark won't be enough. 2 more on the board for the 57s. It's now a 9-3 lead, and their lead is back up to 6. You just never know what the ball's going to do when it hits that spot near first base, and there was no play there for Frankie Giacalone unless he stretched up and flew into the air, but it's something that you do have to be aware of, that there is that jump, especially on the corners at Athletic Park. If a ball hits right before that curtain, it will fling out and make a weird reaction like we saw there. Harnett, high pitch for ball 1 here. It's unfortunate for a pitcher that you give up a hit that's not the hardest of contact and that should be playable in the field, and it can't be charged in error because it's not Giacalone's fault. It's almost the ballpark's fault in ways. 7 hits already for the 57s, but it's the 3 errors that are the difference. Harnett, a deep breath. He's behind in the count here, and a big swing and a big miss from Hudson Unger. Unger, a man on second, trying to take the largest lead of the evening for the 57s. They've been up by 6 once, now in that same spot again. And a high swing and miss as Harnett works back. Harnett focusing on becoming more effective on the mound this year. That's his biggest goal. Harnett, a long look over towards second base, and that pitch is going to land high. Trying to frame it there was King at the last moment. Mavericks have been in a good spot to get out of this inning, and just swerving away time and time again, the 57s. Harnett, full count, that'll miss, and a rare walk for number 44, and it'll be first base for Hudson Unger, who's had an easy day in many ways. A hit by pitch, and a walk. He's got everything on the bingo card this night. Jake Hiramoto up to bat, 1 for 2 on the day, and he has 2 in front of him here in terms of runners. First time seeing Harnett for the righty. Harnett pulls that pitch, and it'll miss for ball 1. Long innings, another theme of yesterday's game. I said I don't think we can get up to 4 hours today, but the amount of 2-out rallies in a small sample size here today, I guess you never know. Harnett, high again. He's behind again. It was something that's been rare for Harnett. He hasn't gotten into a lot of games. He's done well when he has. Harnett, the pitch, and it hits for a strike here, and the count will move to 2-1. 12 pitches thrown so far for Harnett on the mound. Harnett kicks, deals, big swing. That evens things at 2. Third inning right now. But I'm glad to tell you in the 4th, 5th, and 6th, we will have James Tubb, our Medicine Hat news reporter, friend, I guess you could say colleague in many ways, covering the Mavs all season long, up here as the double steal put on. And King trying to hold it, looking to get strike 3 so that it wouldn't matter. And now the only place you'll be able to get an out on the ground is at first base. Of course, I guess home if a player tries to steal. Full count here. Base free. Harnett. Down the chute and a swing and a miss. Big time from J.J. Harnett. Back against the wall with 2 runners ready to come in. And he gets a big strikeout. But the Mavs give up runs again. There isn't an inning that they haven't given up runs. As another 3 put on by the 57s. It's been that kind of day. We'll begin the bottom of the 3rd with Carter Roth up at the plate. Koufax Cranmer still on the mound and a strike there to Roth. Cranmer gave up 3 in his last inning after a scoreless first. Roth 0 for 1 today. Cranmer, a bouncer into the dirt, and that will send his catcher scrambling. Pacheco back to grab it. Cranmer had good control through his first, and then we saw the wheels fall off a bit last inning. Roth ready for it. Cranmer misses on the outside. That's 2 in a row that he's put in that direction. Cranmer quickly to it. Roth jumps on it. A high hit. This one's got legs all the way back and over the fence. A solo shot for Carter Roth, and the lead for the 57s now down to 5. That's one player that will get you going, and Roth, his first home run of the season, and he does it at home. You expected it at some point for Roth. He's just too good, and he uses the wind there to his advantage. I think it was gone no matter what, as it cleared the top fence, and you see some guys hit the ball high. You see some guys pound the ball, and Roth is one of those who mashes it. He doesn't need to get the most height on it. He just finds grass, and a lot of line drives for him, and it plays to how he plays. Speedy, crafty, and super scrappy. And as Diego said yesterday when he was on this broadcast, Diego Centella, Mavericks reliever and starter this year, he said slap hitters are what Moose Jaw has, and they're guys that can do it time and time again, and Roth just the same, but doing that with the Mavericks. The ground ball out here. Calder who shot it down towards first base. Frankie Giacalone got on last time he was up. It was a ground ball over to the shortstop in Hector. And then an errant throw that was way over the head of Noller at first. Went all the way to the 57's dugout. Giacalone turned for 2. He got there, and then he came in to score after. Cranmer, first pitch to Giacalone as a ball. Giacalone going to ground this one again to the left side. And a throw in the dirt, and that's knowing the park over at third base. Jake Hiramoto might be a rookie in the league, but he knew that the sunshine was going to impact Noller at first base. And I'm not sure who told him that. Jared Franklin, a new head coach in this league this year, but reading it well. The bouncer in the dirt is the play from that side. So 2 outs for the Mavericks, both of them via the ground ball. Roth got it started with the home run. And a rip shot by Carson Chan, and it lands in the glove of the right fielder in Jorgensen, who had that read to perfection. So a crafty play to end the inning, a sliding play made along the grass. We'll go to the 4th, and we'll be back, I think, with James Tubb joining us. So stay tuned. Top of the 4th inning, and it's just me for now. We'll wait on James's arrival in a few, not to rush him at all. But we obviously appreciate his expertise and his knowledge of the game, being able to add a dimension that, not everybody can as a major reporter here in the city. And good work by Harnett here. He gets up by 2 strikes as he sees Noller at the plate. Mavs could use a quick inning. They've seen some long ones. This one popped up. Giacalone, a long way to go. He's sprinting over, and it's too far into the batting cages in right field. Harnett will scoop back up that throw from Nate King, and he'll head back off to the mound. Harnett making sure that everybody's set, so he steps off the rubber. It's important. You don't want a defender to be out of place. Harnett to his side. Leg kick. High one that won't be tested by Noller. On deck is Jake Rogensack, and then in the hole, Malachi Yaramillo. Harnett. This one sent skyward. Stark's got a track on it, but it's got enough. Another home run for the 57s. Their 3rd of the game, and it's Keegan Noller with his 2nd. A grand slam, a solo shot. What can't Noller do? And a hair shake as he comes in. That's how you make a statement on the road if you're the 57s. And they don't have the largest roster in the league. In fact, I think they do actually have the smallest. But clearly mighty here. And Noller, even though he doesn't have a lot of protection, he's probably going to play a lot of games with a small lineup. I think that's something that they're going to appreciate because he's taken the ball long twice now in this game, and the Mavericks are yet to have an inning without giving up a run. Harnett speeding up his delivery. He continues to throw strikes, and he's ahead again 0-2. Nobody out yet. Jake Rogensack, the player at the plate. And a swing and a miss there as Harnett gets a strikeout. Throw down over to Giacalone. Following Rogan Sack in the lineup is Malachi Yaramillo. Yaramillo mentioned he can play some first base. He played at Southeastern University Lakeland this year as a junior. This one over towards Giacalone, catches it in the air off the bounce and makes the play at first. So back-to-back outs here for the Mavericks in the top of 4. Giacalone has had some awkward bounces in this game. That not one of them. Finally, he gets one to go his way. You got to feel that as an outfield or as an infielder or an outfielder, that if you get so many that bounce in a weird direction, that one will just calmly glide into your glove like that one did there. Harnett going to get a foul off here from Jude Pacheco. He'll head back up to the mound, and now joined alongside me, James Tubb here in the 4th inning. And James will watch this pitch from Harnett as it's fouled away. You had a chance to talk to him before the game, and then he gets in. Perfect timing. Tell us what you know.
Yeah, it works pretty good, Truman. Thanks again for having me on. A local product. Just happy to be with the Mavs and, try to get a taste of that next level that WCBL provides.
He's had a taste of Keegan Noller in this game. So did Brant Spencer. 2 home runs already. Did you expect to see this much offense from the 57s? And did you expect to see a performance like Noller's in just 4 innings?
No, I didn't. If you were to say it was a 10-4 score, I would have predicted it the other way, Truman. But, credit to the Swift Current hitters today, just making most of the pitches they get.
Play over to the shortstop in Dale. He cannons it over to first base. That does it for the top of the 4th inning. Yeah, an interesting day coming into this game. You had to have felt like this was one that the Mavericks needed to win to get off of the stretch that they've been on, where it was kind of win one, lose one. And they come in here against a team that hasn't had a lot of success against them the last couple of years, and they were flat off the go.
No, and yes, and that's a credit to Swift Current again of just being aggressive early. As the road team, you can almost settle into things or fall into sorts of just, we'll get them as the innings go on. And they jumped all over Brant Spencer in the first inning there. They were aggressive and, they were hitting the ball everywhere and making a lot of contact. And, a 5-run first inning. They haven't, every inning they've scored. So that's, if you could paint it up as a manager, I think that's pretty perfect.
And this isn't a knock against the 57s, but they haven't had a lot of high-scoring games. I'm curious to know when the last time they had a 5-run inning was, because the last couple of years, it hasn't seemed like they've provided any of that. Every team's going to win, but a big number like that early on is surprising.
Yeah, and it's a good confidence boost, right, whether they hold on to this one or not, to know that they can do that, on any given night. That's for any team, to know that, knowledge and confidence is a big part of baseball, right? Any sport, really. So for them, if they can hold on here, that's a big stepping stone as the season continues on.
And is it interesting for the Mavericks? They give up some runs, but then they return the fire with 3. They cut the lead in half. The problem is when you can't stop giving up runs, you don't allow yourself to come back. They got to be frustrated with not having a clean inning after the 3-run inning.
For sure, and I know we've talked to head coach Ryan Reed about it post-game, the last couple of losses of this offense can score. They can, put up runs, put up hits, and, challenge a lot of offenses in this team, but they're not really getting a chance to win games just with how many runs are crossing, whether that's on pitching or errors. Free passes has been the big story right now, especially this weekend. So, the offense just kind of needs a chance here for the Mavs.
Nate King has provided lots of offense this year when he's been on the diamond. He'll foul this one off. And King in his first 2 seasons in the WCBL, not known as an offensive catcher, just a steady catcher. You knew what you were going to get from him. He's a really good game manager. But the bat is alive, and it is well. And even after a short break coming back with the Mavericks now, he's still continuing to hit well.
Yeah, it's great to see. He's one of those, glue guys, you call them, on the bench and in the room. And to see him have success, it could lead to more playing time with how well he is behind the dish.
A long swing there as he misses. Koufax Cramner, he's been pointing out lots of things from the mound today. Very vocal up there. Cramner waiting on King, also very speedy on the hill. 1-2 count. You can see King was saying, if that hits me, I'm okay with it, as he reached out the elbow. Cranmer looking for one there, and he was walking off the mound. Some confidence from the youngster, and it didn't go his way.
The eye's a little bigger than the plate on that one.
Full count. Cranmer, King stays alive, and this one's going to stay in the stands. It's kind of wild yesterday. Several people getting hit with the ball. We saw ice packs being delivered down low, and those who were taking care of the medical side of things here at Athletic Park had to be sharp, even more sharper than some of the players at times. And King snaps this one to center, but it's favorable and caught for Geisler.
I can tell you, Truman, I've been hit by a foul ball in covering a Mavs game. It hurts. It'll sting for a while.
When was this?
2 or 3 years ago in Regina. I was standing along the third base line and foul ball off the bat. And, I was talking to a pitcher at the time, told him to back up, and I didn't back up in time, and it caught me in the chest. And I had to wear that one for a while, literally.
I was going to say, the bruise, how long did it last?
It was a couple weeks and couldn't go cross-body with my arm for about a week or so. It was, I gained even more respect than I had for guys that get hit by pitches.
Cranmer, we've seen a couple of those in this game, too. Brant Spencer having some control troubles. He hit 2 batters today. Adam Volcano switched positions. He started off in center field for 1 inning and immediately moved to second, and it was a rude awakening when he had that air right off the bat trying to move sideways.
The baseball, it finds you, right, when you move positions. And, Evan Morrison went out to center field, and, the Mavs really changed things around kind of off after that misplay there, by Morrison on the throw to first. And, just getting different looks, right, and maybe what they think is better on defense.
Cranmer. That one awfully close to Volcano, so it'll be ball 2. Count now at 2-2. Cranmer ready as soon as he's throwing the pitch. He's right back in the glove, and almost can be daunting for a hitter as you're looking over and you're going, oh, this guy's confident. He's ready to go.
When you're facing a guy, he's working quick, and he's really working inside. It's maybe a little harder to step in and face it, when he's throwing like that.
Full count. Poking this one over towards first base is Volcano. Have to be a quick flip, and the flip is made for out number 2.
I like that for a pitcher, right? Koufax Cranmer to work inside as long as he did, and then to put one outside. And you see Adam Volcano kind of rolls it over there, just softly to the infield. And it's kind of, how you can work inside, outside, up and down. And, he worked inside, outside there pretty well in that at-bat.
Josh Stark leading off today. And I was so curious coming in, you get placed in a different spot. Sometimes that can be a bit jarring for a player. They move up the lineup, and then they're not as consistent. You're going to get the best stuff from the pitcher on the mound. Josh Stark says, I don't really care what I get. I'm just going to hit.
I think when you're hitting well, and I think that's how it's working right now with Josh Stark.
Another one airborne. Could be a tough play for the center fielder. It's so good that it's gone. Josh Stark, he's never going to take a break. He goes yard again, and now he has tied the league lead in home runs.
That's 3 home runs in the last 2 games for Josh Stark, Truman, and the deepest part of Athletic Park as far as he could go, and he gets all of it. And, yeah, I think, like I said, he's hitting pretty well right now, and he got a hold of that one.
The Derby is calling, James. I know Saskatoon's a long ways away, and we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. It's literally a long ways away from Medicine Hat. But Josh Stark is making a case that he should be in that home run derby. If not, throw him in the bunt derby. As long as he has a bat in hand, he's finding success.
It's an early in this season. This is Game 10 for the Mavs, and he's making a pretty strong case to get there to that not-so-midsummer classic.
Cranmer steps forward, and Dale is going to put this one high. He loves going to the opposite field. This one should be playable in right foul territory, and it is, but the Mavs chip away again, and it's Josh Stark leading the charge and leading off in this game. He goes deep over the fence, and the Mavs now cut the lead to 5. Cohen Jorgensen, a first pitch strike here from J.J. Harnett, who remains out on the mound. And the story of Josh Stark continues in the last inning. Another home run. I'm not even sure if he knows how he's doing it, but he's finding a way every time, James.
He is. He's really good at the plate right now, and he's finding a lot of success. And it's good for him to see coming off a college season where he didn't get many at bats to find early success.
This one sent into center field, and could it be another one for the 57s? All the way to the wall, reaching up and making the grab in center field is Evan Morrison, so the defensive replacement working well.
It works real well there, Truman. And, at the start of the year, he talked about being able to play anywhere, and so when I saw him in center field, I wasn't sure what to expect, and he ranges back, gets that one, braces against the wall, and, gets up and gets it, saves the runner on base.
And that a big one. Talk about the clean inning earlier for the Mavs. They need one at some point as this one hit over to short. A spinning play to first. Giacalone the tap. Oh, the last two defensive plays have been masterful. And this time it's Blake Dale with the finesse.
And that's what you need for them. The Mavs need right now. And, they don't all have to be highlight reel. They have been here. But, just get the stops. Make the stops, get the outs. And, for Blake Dale to go to his left there and make that. And, for Frankie to stretch out and grab that one. It was a nice, nice play and quickly 2 outs.
And a hit batter here for Harnett. So it's a first base granted to Lucas Geisler, who's already been hit with a pitch in this game, and it'll bring up Hudson Unger. Want to revisit that play from Blake Dale. I grew up in an era watching NFL football where Eddie Lacy was really good. That name might not mean anything to anyone, but he was known for the spin move in the air, and that was Eddie Lacy-like out there. Of course, prime Eddie Lacy. His Seahawk days were not anything to talk about.
He was a pretty good Green Bay Packer, that's for sure.
And I have to bring up the Packers as a local loyal fan. And I'm not an owner, unlike some of the other fans.
Could be.
Could be. That'd be interesting if you could own a WCBL team like that. Harnett. Look over to first. A 1-1 count with 2 outs. Runner going to go. King knew it. Over to short, and the ball is bobbled there by Dale. It was going to be a tough play. So now a runner in scoring position for Swift. Back to the comment I made about owning a team. If you could own any team, James, what team would that be?
I think I'm going to abstain from that one, Truman, just as
that's a trap.
Reporter on the outside. Yeah.
I don't mean it in literally owning the team. What team, when you see their stadium and their team and the community, you just go, that would be a really cool job to have?
I think I like living in Medicine Hat, so I think, working around Athletic Park all day would be pretty good.
Yeah. It's not stealing anybody's job. It's just saying, hey, your lifestyle is pretty cool. Ooh, confident there from Unger. We saw that from Cranmer. Must be running through the veins of the Swift Current 57's team because they've strutted off a few times. Full count here. Harnett. There's a runner at his back. This one going to be flared over. Dale, good spot, makes the play, and not a clean inning for the Mavericks as there's one run up on the board. Oh, no, that is a clean inning. I don't know what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the last inning. Finally a 0 for the Mavericks defensively here, and it's backed by 2 big plays. Blake Dale with the spinorama, Evan Morrison up against the wall. And we'll see if the offense can keep picking things up here as they've scored in their last 3. Back to it with Evan Morrison at the plate. 5-run lead here for the 57s. A clean inning for the Mavericks. And Morrison with the play in center field now has the bat in hand. It has been an up and down season for Morrison, and Ryan Reed talked about he loves how he's been able to battle adversity because it has not been smooth sailing.
No, it hasn't, and I think that's the growth we've seen from Evan Morrison over the last couple of years of, struggles maybe developed into bigger struggles the last couple of years. This year, a lot more confidence in his game, and, he can ride the waves and ride the roller coaster a little better.
Fly out to left center field here from Morrison. And Carter Roth went deep his last time up to bat. It's not a common occurrence with Roth, but when you make contact enough, eventually one's going to go far, and he saw that there. If the Mavericks are able to come back, they're all important, and you can think back to Roth as being able to help start the rally. Roth bat over the shoulder, almost a double clutch there. We usually just see the one pump over the shoulder, but changing it up and keeping us on our toes here is Roth. Cranmer delivers to Roth into the chest of Hector. Good throw to first, and that's 2 quick outs here orchestrated by the Swift Current defense. Eric Calder. Everything was moving in the right direction for him before this game, but he's yet to get on here today. And described by Ryan Reed as a guy who has a consistent approach, and he does the same thing every time. Makes him easy to evaluate, and it also makes it easy for him. He doesn't have to overthink things.
No, and he can be a relied upon bat, as he has been in this Mavs lineup. I think we talked about it yesterday, just another lefty power option, that he can slot in that lineup.
This one fouled off into left field, so behind 0-2 here is Eric Calder. Quick discussion with the home plate umpire to see if that would have been a strike. Calder up close to home plate here. I wouldn't quite call it crowding, but it's pretty close.
It's pretty close. I don't know if he's expecting an inside pitch that he can get to then a little quicker, or, but it seems like he is as close as he can be to that plate.
Long kick here, and this one is popped up. It'll go far foul. No play for anybody on the left-hand side. Swift Current, 1 error in this game. It doesn't feel like they've done anything wrong, though, outside of that, and that's the difference. Ryan Reed talked about some of the sloppy play and things not going right for his team, and that's a part of it. The defense needs to get a bit better as Calder airborne into left field. This one a bit further, and it goes right into the shadow, but the play is made and left by Hudson Unger, and a 0 on the board for the Mavericks as the 57s match in that department. James, we're almost near the midway point of this game, much faster than yesterday, which we both appreciate. It's not that a lot of baseball is bad, but it can take a toll on you. I know as a broadcaster you run out of things to talk about, and as players you run out of gas. And for being early in the season, it seems at times the Mavericks have been out of gas early in games, or at least they haven't woken up.
I think it is just a mix of, just confidence. And, when you have big innings against, it's hard, as hitters, sometimes they fall into paths of, trying to get it all back with one swing, one at bat, and it's not how it's able to happen. You have to chip away. And I think it is just, this team is kind of finding their strengths, finding out where players, pitchers are going to position and where they're going to be at their best. So, I think it is just, it's early. It can only be early for so long as they try to find their way out of struggles. But, definitely a different sort of start to the season than we've kind of expected from the Mavs.
And it takes time, and to add to what you said, eventually time is going to run out on when you can become a group and find that core. But we saw Regina do it last year. They were a 500 team, and they found it in Game 1 of the postseason. It's the perfect time, and we'll see if the Mavericks can do that. That's thinking too far into the future, but it feels like the stopwatch is running, and they'll have to make up ground. They're trying to do so in this game as well, trailing by 5. J.J. Harnett, this is the most he's ever pitched. It was just a couple one-inning appearances, and James, a healthy thing for a young player to get some trust from his coach.
For sure, and we talked to Ryan Reed after yesterday's game of his trust in him, and it's working for Harnett right now, and he gets a fly out there in behind second base, and just to show what you can have and find success. And, maybe he can start a game, work 4 or 5 innings, or, he's this option out of the bullpen that can go, right now he's working into his third inning and, just find the outs and find, a pile of outs at a time.
And you know what to expect sometimes with the seniors? Because there's lots of game tape to evaluate, and there's that trust factor. Oh, if you've done it for this long and you've been consistent, we're going to give you that. But with Harnett, he didn't pitch a lot, and he's still a kid in many ways. And so for Ryan Reed and his staff, they're trying to figure out, as you've mentioned, what he's all about. This is a good chance to do that, and a good chance for Harnett to prove himself and get comfortable in a space that a lot of guys, they don't in this league. I mean, pitcher, it's a rotating market. The amount of guys that get brought in and sent out in a year, I mean, it's a lot to keep track of.
It is, and it's one of the harder things to do in sports, that in hitting a baseball, right? And, to be on time mechanically and to deliver strikes, it's not easy.
I was asked today if I've ever pitched off the mound, and I was like, no chance. And I was talking with Diego. I said, what do you think would be harder, to hit a home run out of the park for you as a guy who's played the whole time but has never really been a hitter, or for me to throw a strikeout? And he goes, oh, you'd throw a strikeout before me. And I said, why? He says, well, hitting's the hardest thing to do. And I said, that's putting too much faith in me, because I don't think I could find the zone at all. Harnett going to miss the zone here, and it's going to be a walk. And you can see the head going down of Adam Volcano at second, and that just says it all. And the mood down for the Mavericks. New batter up for the 57s here. It'll be Jake Rogensack. He's one of the few guys that hasn't had an ideal evening. Harnett gets him to pop up here. King should be the guy to take it. Instead, he's called off, and making the grab is Carter Roth.
It is easier, that one, to the left of the catcher for the third baseman, or on the other side, the first baseman, to come in on, other than a catcher to pop up and look up. It's a weird horseshoe right in behind home plate for the guys to get to, and but you almost prefer the infielders to come in on that, and Carter Roth plays it perfectly.
Rogensack 0 for 4 on the day. Harnett pitch misses for a ball here. 2 Ks, 2 walks, 48 pitches, 2 innings now for J.J. Harnett. Harnett pulling that pitch and missing low and away. There is some action in the Mavericks bullpen. Looks like some bodies moving on the 57 side as well. Pitch for a strike. Harnett, it doesn't feel like he's ever out of a count. I haven't seen him get to 3 balls, no strikes once in his time pitching with the Mavericks. Small sample size, but still, that's something that you like to see.
He likes to throw strikes, and it's it's good to be aggressive in counts. He throws a ball there for it's 3-1 now, but get ahead as a younger guy or stay in a count, and that way no nerves can build up as you trail a hitter.
Harnett peeks to first base. Now deals, and that one off the dome. Maybe it was even the back. It's hard to see from that angle. But a hit-by pitch for Harnett. And now the warming up in the Mavs bullpen increases a bit. Some harder throwing going on down there. And Andrew Bench will come up and have a discussion with Harnett. A couple of bodies around the berm at the back. And James, I'm not sure if you ever track where the bus is parked here for the opposition. I don't know why the 57s are all the way out in right field. One, I don't know if anybody's going to hit it that far, but it's a risky spot. And two, just why would you put it out there? There's tons of space in the Mavericks parking lot, and even just outside of right foul territory. Is that something you've seen before?
I don't know. It's never stuck out like that to me, Truman. No, I don't think I have. Usually it's up first base line here, just outside the fence, and it's a little different. I don't think anyone's going to hit it that far. It would have to be off a bounce. That is, it's 350 to the wall, and I would say it's another 50, 75 feet beyond that, or more even. So I think they're in an okay spot, but it is a peculiar spot compared to the rest of the league.
It's almost uncomfortable looking at it over there. I don't know why. I just keep peering over there. I'm going, that's weird. But I did have an inside source the other day, and I guess I will spoil the name as this one's put out over towards left field. And the play is made, so the Mavericks 3 outs here again, a couple stranded for the 57s. But the Moose Jaw Miller Express bus driver, I was talking to him, and he said that he didn't get into an altercation because he'd calmed things down, but he was told that he couldn't park his bus in the Mavericks parking lot by someone just across the street here. So maybe that's the reason it's out there. That's the only information I have on the positioning of the bus today. But the positioning of the 57s, really nice. Up by 5 here. And even though they haven't been able to score in the last 2 innings, they've kept preventing the Mavericks from scoring, which is the main name of the game.
They have, and, that's a credit to, the Swift Current defense, what they've done, and, Koufax Cranmer as well, who looks like he's out of this game here this evening, but, he's pitched well. 7 hits, 5 runs, only 2 of them earned, and, he only had 1 strikeout, Truman, but it felt like, he was keeping things off balance enough in his 5 innings, so, a credit to him. And we saw the final out. I don't know if you caught it or if you saw it throughout the rest of the game, but a bit of a stutter step, hesitated a bit before pitching, and I think it might have threw Eric Calder off. I was hoping to see Koufax, Cranmer again in the 6th here to see if he would keep doing it, but now it's Brody Nanini coming in and trying to preserve this lead here for Swift Current.
And he follows in the footsteps of a Brody last year in Brody Bornstein, who was in the All-Star game. He actually pitched an inning in that game that was cut early due to weather. So if Brody being a high-level reliever is a theme within the organization of the Swift Current 57s, then they're probably going to have a gem here. And I guess players in general, because Brody Alexander was an all-star who used to play third and short for them, even did a little bit of coaching after he got injured last year. So the Brody phenomenon in Swift Current, I guess it makes it easy for the fans. They just chant Brody every year, and they're probably going to be right.
Stick with what works, right? Why change things?
So Brody Nanini will grab the ball from his third baseman, that being Jake Hiramoto. Frankie Giacalone, side swing with one arm, and now he will face Nanini for the first time, I guess, in his career, you could say. Nanini, first pitch is a beauty. Into the heart of the plate, strike number 1, off speed. Giacalone has some power. We haven't seen that at Athletic Park. On the road is where he made his money, and he's hit by a pitch. That is something that has followed Giacalone around.
I think it's just, being a bigger guy in the box and taking up his room, not settling away. And I think that one stung a little bit, catching him inside there. But he'll take the base right now, and even more so being a runner on, for Carson Chan as the Mavs try to come back here.
And it has been a year that Carson Chan collegiately would be super proud of. Getting into the fray of things with the Mavericks has not been easy, and he's still got a good attitude about things, joyous, and I know him and Josh Stark get along very well in the dugout. But when you're not playing well, it is hard to feel satisfied. It is hard to even want to come to work sometimes. I think we all experience that. So for Chan, you hope that there's a breakthrough at some point.
Yeah, and I think it's just, learning a league, right? And, wood bats and everything like that. It takes some time to adjust to everything.
Giacalone, it's been a free day for him. Second time getting second base via some defensive mistrust here from the 57s. And we'll look back at now a 2-0 count to Carson Chan. Chan, slow couple twirls of the bat. It's hard to see the batter's box now. It's been so scraped up down there. That might have been all the runs coming across by the 57s in the first. Frozen there was Chan. Not sure if he was taking all the way, but still in a favorable count. Nanini. Doesn't look like he's squarely on the mound. He's favoring, I guess, from his perspective, it would be the right side. We'll go for a walk around. Lots of good pitchers to come out of the Swift Current 57s organization. We mention him every year, but Kenny Jinks is one of the best that we've seen. Adam Cordy, already brought up. Clevert Martina. You could go down the list, even back all the way to Carter Hines. And they have a knack for picking up good arms. And here's one over the head of the second baseman, as unable to trap it is Roggensack, and now it is a 10-6 ball game. I think that should be an RBI single for Carson Chan. It was hit hard enough. Tough play for the second baseman. I'd be stunned if it was an error.
Yeah, I think it was a hit, just hard enough, and credit to Carson Chan. He got himself into a hitter's count and took advantage of it. And when a reliever comes in, to first batter gets hit by a pitch, second batter makes him pay for it, and for the Mavs now, it's kind of keep taking advantage here of a fresh arm.
And usually you have to look in flyers to find free haircuts, but I'm pretty sure over at second base, Jake Roggensack just got one. This one is sent over into left field, and Nate King, he continues to rumble. Another hit for the Mavericks catcher, and he loves that side. That small pull into left field is where he's made his mark.
If it works, you got to run with it, right? And it's working for him right now, and I think there's a lot of confidence for Nate King at the plate.
And this gets a bit scary for the 57s, who have been in control of this game the whole way. They haven't let up. They've matched the Mavericks in run totals, inning in and inning out. And now Brody Nanini. It's not that his command's off. He's putting it in a spot where the Mavericks hitters want it, and that has been what has cost him here. So far, it's just one run, but no outs is something that I'm sure the 57's fear could only get worse. Adam Volcano will take a second here and see what's ahead. Even a fly ball into a deep part of the park, that's another run and another chance for the Mavericks to feel better about their progress in this comeback effort. Strike will hit the top corner here, and Nanini looks to get back into the zone. Nanini, tall stance. Here comes the pitch, a low one and a good block there. That could have been much more if Pacheco wasn't alert. Nanini will take his time. And so will Adam Volcano, who takes a couple of swings. 1-1. Dealing in another good play there from Pacheco.
Carson Chan a little bit more aggressive on the base pass than Nate King right now. He's getting, more and more steps with each, of the wild pitches. Not fully wild pitches, but just pitches in the dirt. I couldn't find that word, Truman, but, you like to see that, especially a guy on third to try to score and being aggressive here trying to score.
Nanini. That one dips down low, and now a chance to load the bases here. I know Adam Volcano would love to swing. He loves a chance to do something just a little bit bigger, whether that's performing when he's doing so with his family and music, or whether it's on the diamond. But if he needs to take a walk, he will, and didn't have much of a choice there. That one will tickle the nose hairs, and the bases are loaded for the Mavericks.
And I don't know if there's anyone else Ryan Reed would want coming to the plate than Josh Stark right now. Obviously, the solo home run to center field, his last at bat, and there's runners on. It's a pretty good spot to be for the Mavs. Nobody out.
And Jared Franklin, he might go to his bullpen again. Is Nanini's day going to be cut short? It's interesting not to see Devin Sawyer come out of the bullpen, or come out of the dugout rather. And if it was Sawyer, you would trust that Nanini would be out there for Stark.
I think this is just a calm down the pitcher meeting. Don't see a lefty warming up at the pen. It's a righty for Swift Current right now. So just try to, decide defense-wise where they're going to go with the ball. And, they still do have a 4-run lead. It is a chance for the Mavs to go big here, but Swift Current's still in control, with where the score is at.
And the home plate umpire, I think he might be offering some words of advice. This is a longer mound muting than we usually see. What do you think he's saying, James? Throw one down the middle. Make my job easy.
Brian Stair was trying to quicken that up a bit here.
Brian Stair, a longtime umpire in this league. And he's done a good job for a lot of years. And you only hear good things about him communication-wise. There's never a lot of banter between him and coaches. And, of course, tempers can flare, but Stair has done a good job throughout his tenure. Josh Stark, bases loaded. You know, you don't want to exaggerate, but he might be the hottest hitter in the WCBL.
He's right up there.
Nanini. First pitch to Stark. He's going to swing and he's going to put it into right field. A one-hopper. 1 run's going to score. And putting on the brakes over at third base was Nate King. Ryan Reed out there with the sign. Josh Stark, another hit and another RBI.
Yeah, he just, I don't know how much more we can keep talking about good things.
Like you just
they're
have
all,
to,
they're
you
all
have
good
to
things
laugh
with Josh
about
Stark. It is. It's a pretty exceptional start to the season for him. And, for a Medicine Hat product to have this success, it, makes it even sweeter here for the Mavs.
And such a good guy, somebody you just want to cheer for. And I think that's what makes the story better when it's associated with a Class A human being like Josh Stark. And his parents have been in attendance for most of the games this year. I can't imagine what they're feeling seeing their son star on his hometown team. Blake Dale goes the other way. Awfully close. It's fair. Dale is going to round first. King in to score. 2 runs in now. They're going to send Stark. He's going in, and he'll be in standing up. The Mavericks clear the bases. It's Blake Dale, and we are tied at 10.
It's a whole new ball game here at Truman Athletic Park, and for Blake Dale, it's a big hit just to get to bring in the offense that he does, the runs that he does, and a veteran presence at the top of the order there follows the Josh Stark, only his second year here in the WCBL, and for the Mavs, a couple blank innings they put up defensively and on the mound, and now they're right back in this ball game.
And they got the big one, the 5-run inning. We spoke about how important that was early on for Swift. The Mavericks matching it, and you said it best, James. Whole new ball game, and still no outs with Blake Dale at second. This was a playoff problem for Medicine Hat. They'd get a guy in scoring position with no outs, and then they'd funnel out quickly. Morrison hopes to do something different. He was a part of those playoff teams who had those struggles.
It's passing the torch, right? Everyone wants to hit a home run. Who can blame them, right? Everyone wants to be the guy. Sometimes it is, and Adam Volcano takes a walk there to load the bases for Josh Stark, who hits a single. Nate King stops at third, keeping everything loaded, right, for Blake Dale to clear it. It is just, trusting the players behind you.
Nanini. And a chip shot here for Evan Morrison. Not the typical hit from the power threat. And the Mavericks have the lead. Sliding into second is Morrison. Dale around to score. It's 11-10. My goodness. That's all I can come up with. And talking about it in the first, you say this game isn't over. There's plenty of time. We've seen lots. But you just never know. And with how well Swift matched, you didn't feel like the Mavericks were going to find that opening. They do it all in one shot. We mentioned it doesn't have to happen in one swing. Well, it's been pretty close to one swing for the Mavericks as they now lead by 1 here in the 6th.
And it is just keeping it simple, right? It's what we talked about, what Ryan Reed has talked about. This offense can do it. They can go hit for hits, and, we're still in this inning here where the Mavs have a runner on second and nobody out, and looks like Swift Current's bringing in a new arm, and it will be interesting, Truman. However many more runs they score in this inning, what does the 7th look like? Can they put up a 0? Can they limit Swift Current to 1 or whatever it may be of, preserving the lead that they now have.
Well, and it's almost ideal in the way that it has been the Mavericks' struggle. The last 3 innings of ball games have not been pretty. Now they've got a lead again, and they're at home in a place that they haven't fared well. Can they hold on to the lead? It's the question that's on everybody's mind, and I'm sure in the dugout, it's the question that's ruminating around.
And you just gotta take what comes at you, whether it's when you're on defense on the mound or at the plate. And for the Mavs, it is just do what they can do. We've talked so much of the guys that, their success at the plate comes with a simple approach, staying within themselves and finding success that way. And it shouldn't be really any different for the Mavs, as they try to grow the lead here or, when they try to preserve it whenever the inning turns over, of stay within themselves. You can only get 1 strike at a time, 1 out at a time, and try to kind of keep things and roll good things into another as, they're in this middle of this busy stretch here. Just kind of roll success one time, 1 pitch at a time.
And I know it's not a long time before they return home. Thursday, they'll be here against Energy City. But at the same time, you'd like to finish off the weekend where there was lots of promise and you know you have all these games in a bunch with a win, especially for the fans who have come to every game over the past couple of days.
For sure. Split a homestand, you leave a good taste in the mouth, with the final home game here before 2 on the road and 2 really tough ones. That's another big part to, try to carry some wins now or success even. You don't want to look too far ahead here, but success into a 2-game stand against, the WCBL's best right now in the Saskatchewan Berries.
And speaking of best, it's Riley Bester on the mound. He likes doing what we do up here. He's a commentator, and he enjoys that side of things, and he is up on the mound studying that in school. And it'll be Carter Roth with a runner in scoring position.
The perfect guy to kind of try to carry the torch here for the Mavs, if so to say, as we talked about. And, he's had success here tonight and all season, really all career here in this league, and, tries to keep the momentum going.
And there's not a lot of questions when it comes to Carter Roth. You know what he's about. You understand the human being that he is. But I did have one question for him. I said, when are your parents going to come back? Because they were a treat to talk with last year. And if they're listening right now, we say hello. And he said that they are going to make an appearance. And I think that it's at the end of the month. So last time the Roths were in attendance, Carter had one of his biggest games. And you would like to think that that could be in the future for him.
I think it's the extra Ontario presence in the stadium.
Of course you would say that as an
Yes.
Ontario guy.
Yeah. You can never have enough, good things grow in Ontario, Truman.
I got to say you're right because my family originated in Ontario, so you're 100% correct. Here's the pitch that's going to miss wide from Riley Bester.
Not to beat it to death. That's a slogan for farmers feed cities in Ontario.
Is it actually?
It's good things grow in Ontario. It's a great slogan. It's one of the best corporate slogans I've ever heard.
Well, I'm not. Yeah, that shows that I'm not from down there. 2-1 here to Roth. Bester. A longer wait, and he'll step off the mound, was feeling the heat. This might be Carter Roth's favorite spot. I mean, he likes any time he's up at the plate, but a 2-1 count where you feel like you have a bit of a green light. And a guy who's known for his contact. Set up well. Bester jumps around and scrambling back to the base is Evan Morrison. Morrison has good feet, pretty good wheels as we saw in center field earlier tonight. But I think knowing that he's at second base, he's not going to steal.
Probably not with where the lead is at and, outs are at.
Roth fouls that off. If he was wearing a Moose Jaw jersey, a bit different. Those guys will steal from any spot at any time.
That is an aggressive brand the Miller Express like to play. And for years, not just this year. That's just how they play.
It's funny you say brand because I'm still not sure what a Miller Express is. And if you Google it, you won't get an answer. We've been looking for years. Roth snaps that one to third. Morrison retreats to second. And Roth's going to get into first. A throw that's off target there from Hector. And third base belongs to Evan Morrison. Now runners in the corners. Nobody out. A chance to build on the lead for Medicine Hat.
At some point the ball luck just falls in your way, right? At times it's the Mavs that make that error. Sometimes tonight it's the Mavs make that error, right? And now they get the benefit of it that keeps the, Carter Roth now on first, Evan Morrison on third, and now Eric Calder. How can they keep benefiting from this and keep, pushing the ball forward positively?
What was it that NBA player Rasheed Wallace once said? Ball don't lie. I think that's it. Up to bat now is Calder. High one is going to miss to the far side. Calder readjusting the gloves. And you think that he's going to capitalize on one with what he's shown prior. Just missing outside again. And there's another pitcher doing some interesting stretching down there. Some arm waving in the 57 bullpen.
It's amazing that different ways guys get loose or whatever it takes to get things loose.
Calder dishes this one to right field. It's going further back than the right fielder expected, and it hits the wall. Calder, he was almost already at second. He'll pop down there, and another run in. It's Morrison who's in to score.
You know, I like the base running there from Carter Roth. He's on first, gets a little bit of a lead off, and he saw it, I think, before the rest of us saw Truman, and that ball wasn't going to be caught. And, you know, he ends up on third, and, you know, the Mavs just trade runners on first, and third for now, second and third, 2-1 scoring position, and, you know, this is a good spot to be for them as they try to, you know, they keep building on this lead, and, you know, just making sure that they get the big inning for a change.
Yeah, 7-run sixth inning. If anybody saw this coming, I'd like to know who you are and where your magic ball is.
And what's the Lotto Max numbers coming
Yeah,
up?
please. We all need it. These rising housing prices, they're going to get all of us one day. Giacalone, this one down in green grass. Carter Roth, he doesn't have to use his jets to get to home plate. A subtle jog in for number 10, and it is now 13-10 for the Mavericks. Claps ringing around Athletic Park. Lots of people yesterday. I think this is the most lively I've heard it. Finally, some energy injected into the environment. Carson Chan will be put on hold here. Pacheco will get on the same page with his defenders. Could be wrong. I think this is Carson Chan's second at bat of the inning. We're close to turning around.
It is. That was Frankie Giacalone's second at bat.
And Frankie Giacalone didn't expect the steal, but there he goes off to second base, a place he's become good friends with in this game.
Take what they give you, right, Truman? You just take, you know, if the ball's going to be in the dirt, you might as well run.
Well, they must be cooking something pretty good down there because Giacalone has been attracted to getting to that spot. Chan, oh, I could feel that one up here. At least he's got the guard on. I'm sure that took a little bit of the power off, but good to see him still standing up. We saw Johnny Volcano take one on the road in Regina off the foot, and he was hobbling around. Oh, it's just a grimacing pain.
You know, Brandon Lau with the Pittsburgh Pirates I don't know if he had to leave the game after fouling one off his leg. I don't know what the MRI showed after that, but, you know, it's amazing the velo that can come off, just that short distance of a foul ball.
Chan set to go again. 0-2 count. Still nobody out and two in scoring position for the Mavs. As watching that go by is Chan. Riley Bester, the latest reliever for the 57s, who has yet to figure it out on the mound. Bester digs into the webbing, and Chan will foul that one backwards. He'll stay alive. We haven't had any ball boy battles. I was talking about that yesterday. Usually they run out and they almost bonk heads, but this year there hasn't been anything directly down the stripe.
Not yet. When school's out, you never know.
You get a little more energy,
a
little more freedom. Be the best job in the world, coming to a ballpark as a young kid and getting to run out on the grass. And the parents love it too because they come home and they're not full of energy at night and they don't have to find a way to get them to bed.
Front row seat too. It's kind of hard to beat.
2-2 count to Chan. Softly hit over to second. A good play there to adjust on the fly. As charging in to make that play was Rogensack, but a run will score again for the Mavs. And they are now up 3.
It's a little easier, when it is a 9-run inning. You're okay with trading it out for a run, right? To bring a guy in and, just kind of keep moving things along.
And meant to say up by 4 there, a bit crossed up with everything going on.
There's been a lot of runs.
Yeah, there's been a lot.
It's, yeah.
I can't count past 10, and we're at 9 right now, so this is trouble.
Take off the shoes, rip off the socks. We're getting close.
Bester, King, one hop over to first, and dragged off the base there was Keegan Noller, who got the big lead, started for the 57s with a grand slam. Ball boy will come up to pick up the bat here, and still just one out for the Mavericks.
I think Noller thought he had held on just long enough, didn't get enough of it or hang up long enough on, it is a tough play going to the right like that, and, you just trying to stretch as long as you can.
Adam Volcano. I got to say, I've never seen anybody get 3 hits in an inning, and I'm not expecting that, but the Mavericks continue to rake as it's Adam Volcano who goes to left field, and now it is a 15-10 ball game. They're not making it quick. It's not 10 runs at a time. It's 1, 2, 3. It's like you're going through a meditation session.
And it's how you respond, right? It is, I've said it a couple times now, I think already this evening, of just chip away, and they're really chipping on here in this inning.
And here's Josh Stark again. You don't think, James. I mean,
I don't know anymore. I don't know. He could. If anyone
no,
could right
no one's
now.
perfect in baseball, though.
He's close.
Bester. Stark lets that one drop. Be ball 1. First baseman playing very deep here. The middle infield is more shallow than he is, and understandable, obviously, at short with the runner at second. Bester. A good pitch there to Stark, and not much you can do with that one. Bester. The pitch. Stark. A grounder, and it's through the gap again. Remarkable from Stark. Runner's going to try and score here. King all the way. He'll slide. He's good. And now it is a 16-10 Maverick lead. Runners on the corners. Another RBI for Josh Stark.
When it rains, it pours, and it goes both ways. The throw in there from, Swift Current's Cohen Jorgensen, it catches the pitcher trying to get out of the way there. Doesn't even make it to the plate for the play, and it can go both ways in this sport. And early, I don't think Swift Current would have ever imagined they'd be in this spot. And I think you could candidly get the Mavs to say I don't think they would think they'd be in this spot either.
And making his way to the mound is Devin Sawyer. It says 14-10 on the score clock, 15-10 on the Ball Club's app, 16-10 on our score clock. I guess take your pick at what you think the score is going to be.
Yeah, I think it is 16 runs for the Mavs here. It's there it is. It's up on.
There we go. Okay, now we're
just
all.
Playing. There's a lot going on in this game.
Oh, now it's 10-9. So they switched up on you really quickly there, James. Bester and Sawyer still talking. And Sawyer mentioned before the game a very young staff, some inexperience there. He talked about they're still trying to get to that bonding stage. They watched a movie as a group a night ago, and he was hoping that would be something that would get them more interconnected. I think it's especially big for catchers and pitchers because you're going to be on the same page in the game, so you might as well be on the same page outside of it.
And just talking between pitchers and catchers, what do you like in this situation? Which of your arsenal plays up in a behind a count? You're looking for a ground ball and all those little things in the sport.
There's a ground ball, could be 2. Double play chance, the splits for Noller, and that was an impressive feat there. Is maybe, I didn't know in a past life, maybe he was a gymnast, but you see guys stretch out all the time. I don't think I've seen a lot of guys get that low. Blake Dale safe on the play, and another run through for the Mavericks. Their run song is getting a lot of play time in this game.
It is. For the Mavs here, and just keep passing that torch. I think we can trademark that now with how this inning's going.
Can we pass something, a baton, torch? How many items can we come up with in this inning that the Mavs have passed over to each other? Bester. I believe that was called a ball. No official note on the score clock. Morrison pops this one up. Should be playable for Hector in the shortstop role, and he brings it down. So the inning is over. I think the 57s were a bit confused looking at their catcher, Pacheco. He hesitated going to the dugout there, and that just speaks to the inning that was for the Medicine Hat Mavericks. There aren't enough bulbs on the score clock to put up the amount of runs that they scored in the bottom of the 6th inning. And it's been a long time since I've seen a number that big.
Yeah, I agree. It's just a lot of runs here, and for the Mavericks, the perfect response, right? If you could have one of any, I don't think this is how we would have pictured it for them to, to come back in this one, a big inning like that. But we talked through earlier in this inning about now it's about holding on to it. Now it's a 7-run lead. I think, they have to kind of hold on to this one, not to be so direct about it, but it is, to put up that kind of an inning, to take that momentum, you got to try to hold on to it here.
And Trevor Sire, the last 2 outings haven't been great. He's going to come into the game here for the Mavericks, and this is a good spot for him because there's a little less pressure now. He's coming in some big-time spots, and that's because he's a veteran in this league playing prior with Fort Mac, and he's a guy they trust. And I saw him talking with Andrew Bench just outside of the locker room yesterday, and I think he's a guy that just really wants to learn and get better, and he gets to work with Nate King here, which I'm sure he's pretty happy about, being that they're Ontario boys and really close friends.
For sure. It puts him in a good spot of, he's got a 7-run lead now, doesn't want to give up any of it, I imagine. And he can work into a game, he's probably warming up, when the Mavs are trailing. So now it's a different headspace that way, but it's still balls and strikes, right? It is still pitching, and now he gets a chance to show, what he can do.
We'll see what part of the order the 57s are in here. It looks like the bottom half, it'll be Cohen Jorgensen, Anthony Hector, and Lucas Geisler to come up for their group. I think the countdown's officially on for Sire as everybody gets back into position here.
A little cheer in building as they, got the score clock figured out and finally got that 17 runs up there. And, sometimes you got to get the bulbs working the right way. And, now it shows the full aptitude of the Mavs inning.
Growing up working at Lorne Holden Field down in King Cooley, I learned that the price of bulbs is not cheap. Every time one would go out down there, it would take about a year to replace it. And also someone has to get up on a ladder and do it, and nobody really wants to serve that role.
Did you change any of the bulbs?
I didn't know. They didn't make me do that. One, at that point in my life, I think I was 4'11", so it wasn't something that was it wasn't in the payroll for me either, but it wasn't in the cards height-wise. Sire, 1-1 count here. The first guy he sees is Jorgensen. A lot hit Jorgensen's way in the last inning, and he'll foul this off. Getting a little bit darker here in Medicine Hat, but the clear sky is something you just got to smirk about, James. You know the weather role that we've been through here, and it's good to see that we finally have that ball weather back.
It is, and it was a rainy start kind of to June, and I think we got all the rain we're going to get this summer, maybe a little more projected this week, but yeah, a lot of rain and, just a long game. Oh man, I don't know what I'm thinking. Just a lot of, a long rain, long spring here that's still rocking on.
Well, are you still trusting the weather people nowadays? I think they've been wrong at least 75% of the time in the last week.
It's a hard job, Truman.
Come on. Yeah, come on. You're giving them a break.
No, I wouldn't want that job.
I don't know what's harder, the score clock operation here, or predicting the weather. Both have seemed to be tall tasks tonight. Sire, full count. That one at the teeth, and so a leadoff walk here. And Sire ahead in the count at one point at 2-1, or 1-2 rather. Anthony Hector. He'll check in back up at the plate, and Hector so far this evening 0 for 3. You can't find a whole lot of players in this game who have not had a hit, but Hector at the bottom of the order is one of them. Grew up down in the state of Florida. I imagine the weather's quite different from what we get up here.
They'd be used to a lot of rain. Humidity too, right? A lot of very humid in Florida.
Well, in hurricane season, I don't even know what it's like to be in that sort of mindset of thinking that something as big as a hurricane could reach you. Alberta hardly sees tornadoes or anything close to that. A large gust of wind sometimes gets the locals fearing over here. 3-0 count. There is a pitcher warming up behind Sire. And a 4-pitch walk. Sire's frustration continues as he walks firmly across the mound. And Andrew Bench is going to call time and head up to the mound.
Yeah, if you're, Sire or the Mavs, you don't really want this inning to kind of get out of hand. As we saw, the Mavs had the last inning, frankly, or even a little bit. You have the lead now, and you kind of want to hold on to it here and preserve it as much as they can.
There is an art to throwing strikes. You don't want to throw them too good, but it gets to the point where you just got to put one in the zone just to get your confidence back. And I'm sure that's what Bench is telling Sire. I can't imagine it's anything too detailed. Lucas Geisler, tough guy to do that against. He's 2 for 2 tonight and has been hit by 2 pitches. Sire, a quick look off. First pitch, flown up over towards Carson Chan, and it is right in his neighborhood. He could have had concrete for feet and would have made that play. That's got to be a boost for Sire on the mound to get the first one.
You got one out now. You're a ground ball away from, getting out of this inning. It's a step, right? It's always a step towards some kind of success.
He does have to deal with the top of the order, and the guy who sits on deck is one to fear in Jake Hiramoto. Hudson Unger, the guy that he will have to direct his attention to first. Unger 1 for 2 today. He's been hit by a pitch. And there's a strike for Sire. Runner on second and a runner on first. Lots of base runners in this game. There's going to have to be a lot of raking done, and there's been a lot of raking in terms of hitting in this game.
Grounds crew is going to make their money tonight, that's for sure.
Yeah, they better not be late to it. You got to get on that early because otherwise you'll be here till 2 in the morning. Sire, close to a check swing, but holding off there was Unger, and now he gets into a better spot, 2-1. Unger waves the bat. Pitch on the way. Good throw there from Sire, who gets a strike. Sire, the head nod. Him and King on the same page. And that one crossed up there. So Unger will live on. It's 3-2. Sire's ERA was really high in his summer with Fort Mac. But you never know what you can get out of a guy with a new start. Be a walk, and now the bases are back loaded here for the 57s. Mavericks, for how big their last inning was, now they're in trouble here, it seems, with Jake Hiramoto. Go down all the stats. He's nearly perfect in many different categories, but as we mentioned, the most important ones for him, the power sectors, and leading the league in home runs prior to tonight with 4. Takes a strike from Sire on the first pitch. And for Hiramoto, a .406 average heading into tonight, 12 RBIs, 13 hits, just 1 double. Sire, back-to-back strikes in the zone. Still a guy warming up for the Mavericks. There's plenty of people standing around for the 57s. I'm not sure anybody's warming. Pulling that pitch there was Sire. James, can you guess which one of those guys is actually warming up?
I think there's just one playing catch right now, and the rest maybe just stretching their legs or just getting out of the dugout for right now.
That's AJ Aruda who's getting in the soft toss. 2-2 now as Sire has missed the last 2 pitches. Got to be careful with Hiramoto. He's a guy that can strike. Sire, instead he gets a strike out, fanning the 3-hole hitter in the 57's lineup.
That's big, and that's, hopefully carries momentum here into the next batter, Keegan Nowler, who's had a heck of a night at the plate.
1 grand slam already. We've seen a 3-homer game in Athletic Park a year ago. I think Ethan Menard was the guy who sent 3 over the fence. I think there was like 6 home runs that day. Abian Medina, I think, had one. I'm trying to think back.
It was a long day at AP.
Yes, a long day. And I think the weather wasn't that great either, so not a lot of fans in attendance. Tonight, a bit of a different story. Sire getting back to throwing first pitch strikes here. Count will go to 1-1 against Noller. Sire, stutter step, kick, delivers, and that one right along the bottom line, but it bangs for a strike. So Trevor Sire, an uncomfortable start to the inning. He's found his footing, looking for one more strike. The dealing, and he goes! Trevor Sire, it may not have been pretty, but he made it work. Bases loaded. The 57's looking to get back into it, and he fans the next 2, including the 2 hottest hitters of the night, and Hiramoto and Noller for the 57's. You think about turning points within games? Trevor Sire with the Trevor turning point of today's game. Forget Toronto Sports Network turning point.
And that's a big one. To put up the inning that they did and then to put down a 0 on defense to start the 7th year, it's big for the Mavs. I know it's a big lead, but it is just, that hasn't really mattered as of late. So to get a 0 there and to work out of trouble there for Trevor Sire, that's, big for both team and player.
And we'll see who the 57's go to on the mound. It was Riley Bester, who was kind of in the midst of all of the action in the last inning. It was Brody Nanini who began the inning. And I think just because of the soft toss, it'll be Bester who's back out on the bump. And a much more lively 7th inning stretch today. It wasn't any moans and groans getting up. Although this has been a long game, but last night's long game and your team's not winning, it hurts a little bit more. And there are some busy bodies down in the stands, James. It's a good sight to see.
It is. They're stretching the limbs and excited, right? They're seeing their Mavs a lead, and the Mavs will get another chance here at Bester. As you said, it is him out there on the mound, and who doesn't like being in the ballpark for wins, right? It's a winning game, and to see the offense on display for the Mavs.
Bester will duel with Carter Roth to begin this inning. So he's put in a tough spot in the last inning, and then they throw him back out there and say, okay, you got to deal with Carter Roth again.
You get a clean look, but what a tough starting point, here for the Swift Current righty.
Roth a home run in this game. It was a solo shot. He's 2 for 4. Should mention, talked about perfect with Stark. He actually is 5 for 5 tonight, so it has been a perfect night. And I said to James just off air, I said, are we really going to interview him for the 3rd night in a row? Because he's had 2 really good games, and a 5 for 5 night might prove that. But Carter Roth, he might get into that interview circle as well with another base hit, this time to left field.
The way things are going, Truman, we're going to have some tough choices for a couple players, and Ryan Reed as always. But there's going to be a lot of guys' efforts on display here. That are going to be hard to choose from.
Have you ever been a part of a team interview before where an entire group of guys kind of rallies around, whether everybody's answering the questions or not? Have you ever seen that or been a part of that?
No, it usually doesn't work out. You're better one-on-one or a couple of guys, but it is, it could be for the Mavs here tonight, a whole team effort.
You watch the Jays, Hazel May sometimes at the end of games, they'll kind of pile around, and of course the Gatorade. Hopefully there's no Gatorade in our media room. There's enough flooding there.
Yeah, I don't need to wear any red Gatorade tonight.
Bester, head nod. Roth is going to go, and he will have to head back as that's fouled off by Calder. I'm not sure if Calder knows the people down below, but it looks like he mentioned something. It looked like a polite gesture towards the people in the box, or maybe just a reminder to himself. Lights are on here at Athletic Park. Roth not going to go this time. Fouled off by Calder. At this stage in the game, you could just call the Medicine Hat Mavericks the Medicine Hat Ontario Mavericks, because you got an Ontario boy on, you got one at the plate, and then you had one pitching and one catching in the top half of this inning.
It feels cheap to go to it twice, Truman, but good things do grow, in Ontario.
I set you up for that. we just keep talking about Ontario tonight.
How can we not?
Medicine Hat will be talking a lot more about Ontario, of course, when the winter comes around, and Gavin McKenna, hopefully, as you and me being Leafs fans' sake, will be joining the team, and a former Medicine Hat Tiger and a superstar Medicine Hat Tiger at that.
It looks poised to be a Toronto Maple Leaf. The end of this month is the NHL draft.
And no draft in the WCBL. I'm sure it's something that's been tossed around. It would just be too hard to do, though, with players coming collegiately. And, you don't want to send a player saying, hey, you got to go here. They're just college students. This one, I fly out to left field for Calder. But it would be interesting if you did an expansion draft or had something along those lines. I don't know all the works of it, but who would maybe be selected first, or what teams would prioritize certain things? You mentioned Moose Jaw's style. Would they go for the speed guys? Swift Current, they like their arms. They like their left-handed arms. Would that be something that they choose to select?
It'd be interesting to see if just, do some teams prioritize the player is for sure coming, or, doesn't have a lot of innings, has a lot of innings, and only can throw a little bit for you. It would be interesting. I think there's a good reason why they don't do it, but it would be a fun little practice.
That's the other part. Well, in drafts everywhere, there's some picks that people go, oh, I'm surprised he went that high. But in the WCBL, everybody sees things differently and targets different players for different reasons. So you can see a bunch of guys where you go, I've never heard of him or never heard of that school, but there's reason behind it. Here's a throw down to second, sliding in there, and safe is Carter Roth. He tried it earlier. This time, he's given the green light.
He wanted that stolen base, it felt like, and he gets it there and just adds to what's been a really good day for him, offensively.
Frankie Giacalone talked about his time at second base in this game, and not playing there positionally, but just ending up there. Seems just about every inning. Bester, Giacalone pops this one up. Long way to go for Noller, and it will be too far. And so 34 chasing after it, and a 34 in Giacalone going back to the plate. Riley Bester. The pitch count has to be not getting up there in terms of a starter's volume, but for a reliever, higher numbers, obviously navigating the last, and now here in the bottom of the seventh.
Yeah, the next one here will be his 34th, pitch, and he's worked 4 outs out of the bullpen here for Swift Current.
A lackadaisical shrug off there at the very end. Sometimes you can feel yourself losing energy and losing momentum, and that seems to be the case with Bester.
It doesn't appear Swift Current has anyone up right now unless someone's ready and just waiting to go. It feels like it's Bester's game.
Bester. Giacalone, that one right through the arm. Roth will come around third base, and he will score. Mavs lead now up to 8. And every lead that the Mavs get will be their largest of the night. But this one, a bigger one than I think any of us expected. And it's getting close to that mercy point, too. If you're leading by 10 after 8, forget about the 9th inning. You can head home.
Yeah, it's a new rule this year in the WCBL. I've liked it so far.
Loved it.
Truman, you like it as well. And it just kind of, saves innings, right? It's a long season. It's a short season, though, in that. And, a lot of games in a short amount of time is a better way of saying that. And, there's times when it's a big blowout that you don't need to, throw guys as much. Save the position players going on the mound and, get ready for the next day.
It's so weird that we see pro sports adding games and adding things almost to make games longer. Outside of the MLB, they've tried to shorten things up. And in a collegiate league like this, you're trying to find ways to shorten the game. It's so weird, and I get it's a large part of it is due to revenue and having to fit things in, but it's so weird that the WCBL taking the opposite approach and going more in a fan direction.
I think it is also with it being a college league of, players only get so many innings in a calendar year. Coming from a spring season, you got to use your innings wisely. So if you can shave off an inning in a game that's already decided or largely decided by the score. It just saves some of those innings for later in the season, or just wear and tear on the arms.
Carson Chan 1 for 4, snaps this over to second, could be 2 for the 57s, and it will be. They couldn't get it to end the last. They do so here in the 7th, and after 1 run being put up, Roth coming around to score. The Mavericks lead up 1 more. 19 hits on the night, 18 runs to go alongside it. We'll see 8 in a few after word from Flow Sports, and just wanted to get in one more word here before we head to commercial break. James, thank you for joining us again. Always fun to have you up here, and even more fun when a game has as many runs as we saw.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to call and a lot of fun to witness up here, Truman. Pleasure as always.
We'll see you soon. Thursday night, we'll probably see James back here, or at least hear him back up here. I'll be the only one seeing him, but I will see, and I guess you will hear when we turn to the 8th. Top of 8, and a bit of desperation here for the 57s if they want to play one more. There's always the thought of getting back into a game late. The Mavericks have proven that today. The 57s, a bit of a different reasoning. If the Mavericks get 2 in the bottom half of this inning, we won't have to play one more. Now, they do have to travel back home, so that's a little bit of a helper in some ways. They can get a bit of daylight on the road, but they want to win ball games, and they need to win ball games. This has been a trend for the 57s over the past couple of years. Slow starts to the season, it puts them out of it, and then the back half of the season is almost tough to watch because you have guys leaving, and then you got guys playing different positions at all times. The amount of different players they used as pitchers last year, I think everybody on their roster had a chance to throw on the hill. Trevor Sire, another inning here as he starts off with 2 strikes. As he looks down the pipe at Jake Rogensack. It's been a long night for Rogensack, and in a hit-filled game, he is still yet to grab one. 0 for 4. Sire deals Rogensack. Good play on the run by Volcano, and a tap with the foot there from Giacalone for out number 1. I mentioned some of the imbalance in the league earlier tonight with the 57s and, of course, the Berries coming in. And I think the Saskatoon Berries coming into the WCBL, it's great for the league in general, and I don't think anybody disagrees with that. Their name is cool. Their fans are great. I don't think there's a whole lot of things that are bad about them, and their team definitely isn't bad. But for the 57s who have to share a province with them, it does impact being able to recruit and what guys you can bring in. In the past, it was much simpler for them, and having to deal now with Regina and Moose Jaw and Weyburn and the ad of the Saskatoon Berries, it's been a tall task for them to navigate, and it has been since 2023. That was the last time they got into the playoffs, so although it's not as long as some, it is still a while ago for a franchise who just used to make it all the time. Former owner of the Mavs, Carol Hearn, came in and she says she always admired what the 57s did, the players they would bring in, the local guys that they were able to get. And I had to tell her that the story has changed in many ways for Swift Current. But you root for those smaller teams and smaller markets, no matter who you are. And I think that extends out as far as the Swift Current Broncos in the WHL. They're one of the smallest teams in the CHL, and you hope those little communities can find a way. And a lot of these guys have played in small communities before coming here on the Mavericks side. We talked about Nate King and his affiliation to Brooks, and Julian Picorni the same. And they understand what it's like to play in a small town, and I'm sure there's some empathy for the guys in Swift Current. This one fouled off again in a full count situation. Trevor Sire has turned over a new leaf. I'm not sure if it was the talk with Andrew Bench, or oftentimes for pitchers when they get into a zone of, I'm just going to throw and see what happens and trust myself, that's when the boat really starts to row. And a swing and a miss. Trevor Sire, another K to his name in this game. 1 and 2 innings pitched, and he's got 3 Ks to 3 walks, but all 3 Ks coming after he dished out those walks. So it's been a bit of a revelation here for the right-hander. 2 quick ones for Sire. And now Jude Pacheco, the catcher for the 57s, will take his place in the batter's box. Sire, fastball, top corner. Nothing like it as he dots strike 1. You can even see Sire's demeanor changing. And he's on cue with Nate King as far as signs go. Head shake at the first pitch that King told him. 1 and 1. Pacheco, no batting gloves. A rare approach in today's game. And Pacheco didn't swing there, but it didn't matter because Sire popped that into the strike zone. Bit more flavor on Sire's pitches in at least the back half of his relief appearance. His first relief appearance here was a 1-inning shutout. Now the count 2-2 as he dukes it out again here with Pacheco. Pacheco 1 for 3 on his day. Sire. This one is hit high up into the air. Stark going all the way back. This one's going to remain in the field of play, and Stark makes the catch. 1, 2, 3 inning for Trevor Sire, and I think he's got his swagger back as he walks off the mound. Teammates out to greet him. We'll see who comes in for the 9th if we have one. The Mavs trying to find 2 runs here and end this game on offense. Riley Bester still getting warm before the bottom of the 8th here, and I think we should talk about something special around the WCBL, and that's the league's brotherly love. A couple of brother duos in the WCBL again this year. You'll see them every year, and I don't believe there's any trios this year like we saw with the Volcanoes last year, but Johnny and Adam back with the Mavericks this season, and so are a couple others. Brennan and Shay McTavish. Of course, the relation to Les McTavish, who's big with the Vauxhall Academy Spurs, and both return to the Lethbridge group. Callum and Carson Haney. Callum, a former Lethbridge Bull. He returns this year, so I guess make him current now. Carson, his first time around. Braden and Owen Mayencourt. Braden, a longtime catcher for the Weyburn Beavers, is back. Jack and Luke Wheatley are with the Bulls. So the Bulls have 3 different sets of brothers. And then for this 57s team, Kyrell and Rydell Adair. We haven't seen either of them today. And I don't think Rydell has actually played yet for the 57s this season. He was a big part of their group in 2025, so expect him to join in on the fun at some point for Swift Current. Nate King, that first pitch is going to be a ball that's knocked down by the catcher in Pacheco. King understands how hard Pacheco's job is diving out and getting square into that position. Doesn't really matter in this case with nobody on the base path, but it'll build up after you dive down so many times and you get lost in the dirt. Bester reaching out and has had to get good use out of his arm in this game. And as a Chico, California native, there's a guy from the same community who's gotten a lot of use out of his arm over the years, and that would be the great, and I would even go as far as to say the greatest quarterback in the NFL, and Aaron Rodgers, at least in the history, a 4-time MVP, and many say they've never seen an arm like it. Bester gets weak contact here, but it doesn't matter for Nate King. One ducking under the glove of Hiramoto at third base, and off to first is King. One on, nobody out here for Medicine Hat. Adam Volcano thought he was going to begin his day in center field. Talked about his duality yesterday. Mentioned that even in an interview with him before yesterday's game, that he can just do about anything. Came in relief in a game against Moose Jaw today. He was in center, moved to second, and things have been working with the bat for the younger Volcano brother on the team. Johnny Volcano not in the lineup tonight, usually playing shortstop for Medicine Hat. Bester waiting for Volcano to welcome himself back to the plate. Bester's throw just a bit low there, holding off is Volcano. So as I mentioned, 2 more runs here for the Mavericks, and this game will be over. You won't have to worry about a 9th inning. Although more action's always fun, as this is fouled off by Volcano. He'll be behind 1-2. For Medicine Hat, a confidence builder to mercy Swift Current twice in a row if they can do it. And I think the last one, you piled up a bunch of runs. It was one of those ones where 2 teams are just on very different playing fields. Different today because Swift Current was ahead, and they set the tone, and they built up a lead over the first 3 innings, and the Mavericks haven't stopped since, and Hiramoto takes one right off the chest. To first base goes Adam Volcano. I'd be shocked if that's called an error. And it looks like it'll be the 20th hit of the night here for Medicine Hat. Think back all the way to last season. That was the last time they went over 20 hits. 21 hits now in the game. Well, and even with that start, they were averaging about 10 plus runs a game in the first 5 at home. And the atmosphere that came with that was percolating. It just seemed to bubble up, and everybody fed off of it. Fans came out to games ready to cheer, and they got to cheer right away. It was a group that scored early on, and this group, they work better in the later half. Every team's got a new set of DNA each year, and just because the franchise name stays the same doesn't mean the players always remain. 0-1 here to Josh Stark. 5 for 5 tonight, and he swings and misses there. He's behind 0-2. Stark going to take his time here against Bester. Going perfect has to be on his mind. I don't know a baseball player that wouldn't want that. That one flies away, and so Stark will stay put. 8 hits tonight for the 57s. I think all 8 happened within the first 4 innings. They've been pretty much shut out since. A couple of free passes and hit batters have helped them reach base. Stark pops this one up. Ranging over near third base and making the play is Hiramoto, so the perfect night ends for Stark, who will be 5 for 6 on his day. And I don't think he or any baseball player ever will complain about going 5 for 6. Still 2 on here for Blake Dale. A bases clearing double like the one we saw earlier in this game from him would close it out. Fouled off by Dale on the first pitch from Bester. Bester, a slow walk to the mound, but he gets into his area right away. Not a lot of moving parts for Bester, a very straightforward pitcher. What you see is what you get. Here it comes. Dale ropes this one foul. No movement for Ryan Reed. I know a lot of people that if they were put in that spot over at the third base coach area, that they would be jumping every time a ball was cracked off the bat. And when you've been out there long enough, it just seems to be second nature to not move when a ball is close. 0-2 count to Dale here. Bester, quick look backwards. Dale's going to pop this one up. It's going to go into the shallow outfield. Calling for it is Hector, and calling him off and making the play is Geisler. So 2 outs and 2 runners still remaining. Evan Morrison will come back up to the plate and with what will probably be his last at-bat of the night. But this game is a telltale that we've seen crazier than that. Blake Dale ends his night 2 for 6. Morrison 1 for 4. Morrison, ball in the dirt. He'll take ball 1. Riley Bester, 2 and 2 innings pitched. 51 pitches thrown, 34 for strikes. No strikeouts, no walks. Morrison, a long delay. Here comes the throw. This one grounded up the middle. It might have a chance to score 1. Reed's waving around King, and it's going to be a play at the plate, sliding in. King will score. It's close to almost blocking the plate there for Pacheco. And now 2 outs with a runner at third base, and that run would send us home. And up comes Carter Roth, chance to be the curtain closer here. 2 in scoring position. Adam Volcano helmet off at third base. It's been a long night. I'm sure there's a lot of sweat out there. Roth over towards second. And so there will be one more inning of play here for the 57s, who are only down by 9, which means we'll keep going. So Carter Roth, a quick discussion with the first base umpire, and I guess that means we'll have to find something to talk about here in the 9th inning. And there's lots to talk about. Obviously mentioned the weather and what's happening within the league, but let's talk about the storyline of this game as a whole from a pitching angle. We've mentioned the hitters and all of their accolades and crazy stats, but if we look back, taking it back to Koufax Cramner at the beginning of the game, he went 5 innings strong, had 1 strikeout and just 2 earned runs. That's what you'd like from your starter. And since then, Brody Nanini couldn't even get 1 out, so the innings pitched totaled 0 on his end. Riley Bester the next 3 innings where he gave up 5 earned. And at the start of the game, we talked about errors being the difference, but I think it was the bullpens that actually became the real difference in this game. J.J. Harnett came in after Brant Spencer, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, and then Trevor Sire, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. Both players better on the tail end of their relief appearances. To start the game, it was Brant Spencer who pitched 2 and 1 innings, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, 5 earned runs on 9 hits through 62 pitches. Harnett, pretty much a start for him, who threw 54 pitches, eerily similar to Spencer in terms of that, 34 and 31 strikes thrown apart. And before we get back to our action here, let's take a look around the WCBL at a couple of the other games that have gone on tonight. Of course, I'm sure you're curious of what the rest of the league has had to offer today, and only 2 games going on, and the other one is just as thrilling as this one was at points. An 8-8 tie in the bottom of the 6th out in Brooks between the Bombers and the Okotoks Dogs. Okotoks is a team that puts up a lot of runs, and they have a lot of pitchers on their roster. That's a yearly occurrence. But what is interesting about them is their recent set of games have not gone as well. They're on a 2-game losing streak right now, and they've actually fallen into second place in that division, with the Lethbridge Bulls leapfrogging them in the standings at 6-2. The Bulls, however, a -4 run differential, which is crazy because the Dogs have a plus 46 run differential. So sometimes your schedule plays into it. Luck will always play into it. And the Bulls, maybe not playing up to their potential, but they have played their way into first in the West. The East Division, it's controlled by the Berries for the second season in a row at 7-2 on a 2-game win streak. 43 runs in the run differential department, obviously positive. 84 runs scored on the season. And I believe that is the second most in the WCBL. A lot of teams near the 500 mark, which includes Moose Jaw through Regina and the Mavericks and Weyburn, of course, sandwiched in between that group. Out on the mound for this inning is Takeo Cervantes, who labels a strike on his first pitch. Cervantes, a couple of relief appearances so far this year. And he's a unique case. When guys come here, they've usually played a lot, they're ready to go, or they're kind of tired out from their college years, and they just use that momentum to keep going. Takeo Cervantes is a guy who hasn't played in almost 3 years. He was a redshirt, he dealt with some injury, and he's finally back to a spot where he feels like he can play again. And missing 3 years for any player is tricky, so I think the grace period for Cervantes has to be much larger. And there's players in this league who have similar stories to Cervantes, but his perseverance is backed by a belief, he tells me, that you only get one chance to play baseball. You only get one chance to play at a high level and play collegiate, so play for as long as you can. He said that was some advice he received as he strikes out the first batter of the night, and that's the Takeo Cervantes of old on the mound. Anthony Hector. Cervantes right up in his grill to face him. Cervantes shoots that and dots it for a strike here. Cervantes moving with a bit more pace today as well, and I think it's just that newfound ability to gather confidence and gather trust. He said that is one of the things that's hardest about getting over an injury is getting the mindset right, feeling like you can again, feeling like your ability is fully there, and Cervantes showing it here. Ground ball over to Adam Volcano, make that out number 2, and he's got one more batter to get through. It's Lucas Geisler. Geisler's been a bright spot in the 57's lineup tonight. He got on base in both of his first 2 plate appearances. He's one of the longest standing 57s on this team. Cervantes. Perfect control there as he goes off speed and zips that into the zone. Cervantes, no hesitation again on the mound. He's just throwing strikes out there, and is this a sight to see? Cervantes looking for one more. The crowd doing the same. Here comes the pitch, and it's just fouled off. Geisler wanted to take this game out a little longer. Cervantes. Glove to side. Here's the pitch. A swing and a miss. A tap from King. And the Mavericks roar back. Down 5 in the first inning. Down 6 after 2. They rally against the Swift Current 57s in what was an unbelievable back half to this game. 9 runs, 1 run, and 1 run to close it out. 22 combined hits. This Maverick team, resilient, their first real comeback effort of the season, and they do so in front of their home crowd who was waiting for one like this. As far as Swift Current goes, they had some promise. There's a couple of guys who've really stood out on their side, and Jake Hiramoto and, of course, Lucas Geisler and Hudson Unger at the top of their order controlling the pace of play, but they couldn't hold on long enough, and the Mavericks, they fought and fought and fought. They got some good appearances out of their bullpen and a couple of redemption appearances. The likes of Trevor Sire and Takeo Cervantes headlining that. And Josh Stark, 5 for 6 on the day. Lead off for the first time this year. It doesn't matter where you place him. He makes it happen. Carter Roth, a big part of the offense. A couple of homers for Medicine Hat as they head onto the road, feeling good about what they've done here at home, beating the 57s 19-10. No, that's not a football score. We did play baseball today, and we saw a lot of runs. It's always fun to come to the ballpark and watch the ball fly around the diamond. That'll do it for myself, Truman Bartman, here on Flow Sports. We will be back on Thursday night as Energy City comes to town for a 2-game set. As for now, we'll send you on your way. Take care, everyone.